All right. Hi, everyone. I wanted to welcome you today. I'm just making sure my colors in the stream and everything works. Oh, look at us all going live. So I'm going to jump over to Facebook for a minute and just make sure everybody's sharing it. And panelists, if you can hear this too, if you can start sharing it on your Facebook, do a watch party, that would be great. For those of you who don't know how to do that, because that's always an interesting thing, you're going to hear me for a minute. Um, oh, I look better on Facebook than I do on this. Let me just make sure I can hear myself.
Just making
Okay,
sure
good.
my colors.
I'm going to share, I'm going to create a watch party.
Sharing
So I'm going to share it into a group I know.
You can start sharing it on your Facebook. Do a watch party, that would be great. For those of you
I'm going to post a share with friends. Now I'm going to also create a watch party. A watch party is really about inviting people that you know to start, and then I'll tell you a little bit. Okay, good. So I started a watch party on Facebook. The other thing too is I'm going to open up Twitch. And when I open up Twitch, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who's going to be on today. When I open up Twitch, I go to Power Team Global. I go to the live feed. I start the live feed. Okay, let me turn it down a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and host a channel. Hosting a channel brings people on. I'm going to tell myself, wow, what a great call. What a great call. And then I'm going to tell you who's going to be on today. Okay, fantastic. There we go. So if you can host around, if you can share it on Facebook, that would be great. It just really makes a big difference. Today we got a powerhouse lineup in our first VIP panel, actually, and then we have the amazing woman who actually was Tony Robbins' vice president for 17 years, 4 million miles with him, and she's stunning what she knows and who she knows. We also have a gentleman who actually he's an Emmy award-winning producer and has the longest running show on, still going, just renewed again for its 9th year on the Hallmark Channel. We have an amazing woman who will really take your mindset to the next level. We have so many. It's about mindset and power and business and moving forward. Then we're going to jump right into with Dr. John Demartini. And it's you all know what that's about. It's about the human factor and taking that to the next level. And he has spoken around the world, and he's been over 100 countries. So you got to be on there for that. And I'll talk more about him right before I bring him on. Then I'm going to move into talking about a business funnel and really taking a look at systems in place and how those systems really work and how you can bring those systems into your own business and how to make money now. Say, I like to make money now. Fantastic. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move into internet and social media and really take a look at how that works from the perspective of your funnel and your business. It's really, that kind of thing, that what is it that we look like to become better at what we do, and how do we do it that way? We then have an amazing panel, just an amazing panel to really drive that forward with some of the largest promoters on the planet. So that's what the day looks like. And we haven't even started yet. So share this with everybody on your streams. Share this with everybody you know. I'm just making sure that I can get those that I need to be in place on. And it's the kind of thing where it's the success quotient of, can I do what I want to do in a way that I want to do it, and want to make sure that you're also successful. And that makes a big difference. Okay, let me just do this. I'm just typing this. Okay, so here we go. My name is Michael Silvers. I'm executive, what am I nowadays? Executive Vice President of Global Training for Power Team. Really excited to be on today. It's going to be a powerful day. It's time for you to start sharing and get this call out there to more people that you know. The more people that we know, the better we become at what we do. And the great thing about that is the strength of what we can create. So what I want everybody to do, I'm looking for my funnel paperwork, I must have moved it, but I want everybody today, everything that you learn and everything that you're going to learn, think of the concept of a funnel. And I want you to take it into, how do clients come into your business? And I'll go through this much later. But how do clients come into your business, and what do you do with them? And how do you actually make money at the end? But how have you been of service to them? And we'll talk about it. I'll draw it all out for you later, so you can take everything you learned today in this call and you can put it into that paradigm. I think that makes a really difference because it's that active listening that makes a difference, but it's putting it into action that is all that it's about. Because we can make changes in our life, but if we don't put it into action, there's nothing that happens on the other side. And it will make a big difference as we develop and as we learn. So I'm going to give you a 1 minute on Power Team, and then I'm going to jump the panel on probably a little bit early because we have amazing panelists on today, and you need to hear from these people. But we also know it takes people a couple minutes to get on the call. So very simply, Power Team was created by Austin and Bill Walsh. Bill did turnarounds for 10 years in the 90s, took 2 years off to really take a look at the small business and how to create that next step. He came up with Rainmaker. There we go. There's Rainmaker behind me. And the Rainmaker Summit and we're actually starting it on Friday. For any of you interested, you need to let me know. You can actually text SBA to 26786. We have an incredible special because it is starting tomorrow. It's virtual and in Las Vegas, wherever you are. But it's a 2.5-day business boot camp. And the great thing about that is it's education and learning from anything to what's your why to exact what's your dollar figures every day you need to make to get to where you need to go, to how to talk to billionaires, to creating that focus and structure. And also then for a year, we watch you. We watch everything we do because there's group coaching every single Wednesday for the next year that you'll be part of. So we're always there for you. You can always come back to a Rainmaker. You can come as many times as you want. You can come to the virtuals and you can learn as you grow and as we grow. So in 2005, Rainmaker was created by Bill. And the great thing about that is he was going to sell 200 packages because he partnered, write the word down. He partnered with Franklin Covey. He partnered with a little company called GoDaddy. And he partnered with the Learning Annex. Well, that put him on stages all around the world because the Learning Annex was a major player in our industry. And he sold 3,000 packages. So you have to realize, no matter where you think your business is, if you have the right partnerships, how far could it be? And are you really using your full potential? We're going to talk a lot about human potential today. So with that potential, he then realized that small businesses need funding and they don't get the funding. So we created a joint venture fund in 2007, 2008. He wanted to put a group together and he created a mastermind. That was a group of individuals that get together. It's a group of individuals that get together to support, help each other, to do more for each other than they would. And he created the WIN Global Mastermind 2008, still going today, 12 years later. Took 2 years to take a look at the best of every speaker out there, and he created the Platinum Speaker Camp. Platinum Speaker Camp is where 20 to 25 individuals get together. He only does it twice a year, and it's 60 days, and you're on stage or you're on a virtual stage. Because we have over 300 events a year, and now with what's happened with COVID, we now have 10 hours a week of virtual programming. So whether it's live events or online, we're there for you, and you instantly come out of that. By 2012, did a partnership, really the main sponsor for the Small Business Expos, put us in front of 100,000 businesses a year. Did that for 7 years. We also created Internet Marketing Division. And we also do a lot around PR and really, how to get press releases, how to get yourself out there. And we have an amazing speaker today going to come on and walk you through that, how that looks for you and how you can make that happen. At that point, it became masterminds because we had the big mastermind. So Bill created masterminds, and that's part of the reason I'm here, for individual cities and virtually. So people could mastermind anywhere they are in the world. And where are we going today? We actually have the whole virtual suite. We have the Success Summit 360s. We have Bill Walsh evenings. We have the Global Elevation Summit. We just did that last week. It was rocking, and we had speakers all day long. We took your mindset. We took you to that next level. We partner with iHeartMedia. So they were on there talking about really with their 82 million people showing up every single day, they've got their pulse on what's going out there, and they were really saying, join us. This is what we're doing, and this is how we can become more at what we do. And that's really awesome. So with that being said, that's us at Power Team. We're very excited to have all of you on, and I know you're sharing and you're FaceTiming and you're getting other people on the call, and I can't see all of you who are on, but I can say hello to all of you. I can say thank you for being here. If it's something you want to be a part of and you like this, and I will give it out later too, and I can type this out because I can do two things at once, just text SBA to 267. I know it's really funny nowadays to have that on there, but SBA, it's Small Business Advisor for us. Text SBA to 26786. I will text you back, find out who you are, set up a 15-minute appointment, and see if you're the person that will be the one that we want to partner with, work with, and see how it all works. So without any further ado, I'm about to bring up our amazing panelists. They are the most amazing group that I've ever seen. They are, there's the strength in what they create, the strength in how they can have it. We just have fun together. What they've built around the world to millions and millions and millions of people out there. And I love them all. Without any further ado, I'd like to bring up Mary Glorfield, Steve Leon, Alyssa Miller, and Meredith Alexander. Everybody, give yourselves a big round of applause. Yeah, look at that. They're an exciting group. Awesome. It's very, it's awesome to have all of you on, and it's always great because it's education and learning. And all of you in some way have impacted a lot of other people. And so what happens, though, is sometimes we're in the backside, right? So people don't know who we are. They never heard our name, even though your impact has created a difference to, again, millions of people around the world. So what's always great is to start out with a little bit about yourself. And by the way, everybody out there, the panelists know this is not a 25-minute introduction about themselves. They're very aware. I've told them, because sometimes you say, well, I'm going to let them earn the right. And sometimes I know that we've had people type to us going, are they going to talk for 25 minutes? Can I use the restroom? Okay, no. They're each going to take about a minute and introduce themselves. And then we're going to have really a discussion. Now, the other thing, too, and I know a lot of you don't, type in sometimes you do, is we do actively watch the board. We've got other team members watching the board. If any questions come in, we can address it. If it's a question for our panelists, we are happy to take that. You can email us. You can just do this very simply. Go to ipowerteam.com/freedom. And I'll flash it on the screen later, so don't worry. ipowerteam.com/freedom. If you see the panelist name on there, you can hook up with them right there. If you have further questions for them, you can just find me, connect with me, and I'll make sure the panelists always get the question or your information. Because these panelists are here for you, and several of the panelists will work with you. And if you have any questions, we'll make sure they're answered. Or if it's something that to move to the next step, I know definitely Alyssa and Meredith will coach you and take you to that next level. And Steve is always available for questions or anything that you need. Just come through me. So, Mary, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you, Michael. Well, I've been really lucky in my career, so I've had some amazing opportunities, and I started out with Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, which really prepared me for my next position with Tony Robbins, and I was with him for 18 years, actually, not 17, but 18 years, and I still do some things with him now. So as I said, I've just been lucky in my career because my college education was in art history, which has nothing to do with what I do. So I've been very fortunate. I was executive vice president for Tony Robbins, and I've had the unbelievable ability to travel around the world with him and learn from him as well. So it's been a lot of fun. For sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I know. We're going to have you on one day. I promise I won't, but we're going to tell the elephant story. Okay. We don't have time today, but one day we're going to do that, right? I'm telling you, everybody, this is the woman who got the elephants to march into New York. I'm not going to give any of the other details. And that has never happened again, has it, Mary?
It has not.
Yeah.
No.
So that's a great story. We'll have to tell that story one day. Steve, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Leon. I grew up in a show business family. I went to work early in my career at CBS, then at ABC, then at NBC. So I hit all three of the major networks. At one point, when they were all the three major networks, and was an executive at Paramount as well in comedy development. Became the head of original programming at Family Channel and Fox Family, and then eventually worked my way over to becoming a producer. And as a producer, I put a show on the Hallmark Channel. It's been on now 9 years. It's called Home and Family. It's going to be starting its 9th season actually in September. And I made a number of TV movies for them, and I'm readying to do another one as well. I love romantic comedy. That's like one of my favorite things. And also spreading and building. I've got projects we're developing for all the streaming networks, as well as a number of other cable networks. And I work in all areas from scripted to unscripted.
Awesome. And thank you so much for being on. And actually, because I know you just got the news about the 9th season, so congratulations on that. That's a great. And really for those of you who understand passive income streams, those are types of passive income streams that are really nice to do, and you can build it in so many different ways. So Steve, great to have you on. Meredith.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me, Michael. I am Meredith Alexander. I'm CEO of Grit Mindset Academy. And what I love to do, my passion, is helping high-level professionals, entrepreneurs just like you, create things that other people say cannot be done, are impossible. And we do this by first identifying what these big boulders are in your way, and then helping you blow them out of the water so that you can go on to consistently show up as a more vibrant, happier, passionate version of yourself. And you can't tell that I love what I do. How's that for 1 minute and under?
That was really good, actually. You almost caught me off guard there. So that was really well done.
Nice and high for
mic drop. Right, that's right. All right. Now for our final, it's like panelists, right? And I should do the Hollywood Square thing one day. They once said I should have the music background, but I will not do that. Alyssa, your turn.
Well, thank you, Power Team, and of course, Michael, for the invitation. And it's so great seeing all of you guys. Also, I haven't seen you forever, so it's nice to see you. And Mary, just so you know, the harder you work, the luckier you are. And I know you're a hard worker, relentless. That elephant story, powerful. So a little bit about me. My husband and I, we run 6 different businesses. And like Michael said, it's important to have that, that diversification of income stream, and the passive is super important. We learned that in 2008 and just diversified since then. Our oldest business just celebrated 24 years in business, February 14th. Yes, so exciting.
Yeah.
And I also, in that company, I have 48 employees. So I feel everybody's wins and failing forwards. I've been there, done that. I understand what it's like to be a CEO and be responsible for so many people. And like Meredith said, on my coaching hat, basically, David and I run a company called Ultimate Achievers. We just teach people how to crush their goals, turn your goals into achievements. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and it's great because I do know most of you, but it is keeping people on their path, because it's so easy to sway off our path, and I think that makes a big difference as we're moving. And sometimes it used to be, we always used to ask the question, right? The famous old question, what book have you read that got you to where you are? And we did that on a panel a couple weeks ago, and the panelists were actually younger. I know, younger than me, but they were younger, and they started talking about podcasts actually that they're listening to. And one said actually for him it was YouTube that created, it was the influence through YouTube, because we talk about Jim Rohn, and he's like, yeah, I know Jim Rohn, I watched some of the YouTube stuff, right? And it's a different, and even Think and Grow Rich. So whether it's a book you read in your life or now, or a YouTube channel or a podcast, what at this moment in your life keeps you moving now, or what brought you to know you have the mindset to do what you did do? So Meredith, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, perfect. I love this because I was thinking, gosh, if Michael asked about a book, I've got to go podcast, because, I think that a lot of people don't make time to read books the way they used to. And yet what I really, really feel is essential is that I don't think that people who are successful by default. It's not by accident. They have a system, and just like great systems run great businesses, we all run on systems. It's just most of them are default. We get up in the morning and we hop into the shower, we grab something, we say, world, have at me. But I think what I really encourage people to have is what I call PEP, which is a personal empowerment plan. And part of that is exposing yourself to these high-level individuals. We can do it now in a way we didn't. So I love Lewis Howes' School of Greatness for women who are really setting the bar high and want some nuts and bolts. I encourage my clients at least 20 minutes a day to make this part of their personal empowerment system. Skimmed from the Couch. It's awesome. It's from the two women who created the Skim. And then finally, Boss Babes. I'm actually a contributor for Boss Babes. And these two young women just blow it out of the water, and they set these wonderful models for people to follow, and there's some nuts and bolts steps, but they're also real examples of individuals who started things on their kitchen table and grew them, and it connects with people in a personal and real way that I think really, to quote Tony Robbins, changes their state, right? Changes their state.
That's right.
Place. So those three: School of Greatness, Lewis Howes, amazing, Skimmed from the Couch, and also Boss Babes, cannot be beat. Awesome. Every single person should be watching, listening, stacking their habits. Fantastic.
I love it. You know what's great too is actually, do you know one of the first podcasts I think it was 2005 that actually ever got a contract for like $100,000 was two moms actually just sitting at a table talking about their babies, and all of a sudden a couple of the diaper companies said, wait a second, we have something here we never expected to have happen. People are listening to this, and they threw them a check for $100,000.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing is sitting at a table talking about changing their baby's diapers and the difficulty. And it was, so you never know, right? You know, and you never know what you're going to learn from these great shows and how it might impact you in a certain way and the potential out there. So,
yep.
Steve.
I don't really have a lot of opportunity to read books. When I read books, it's generally because it's something I'm interested in, possibly buying or getting involved in as a producer. But where I get a lot of my inspiration is in watching TV shows. And I'm here to say that this is the single greatest era in the history of television. There's more choice, there's more diversity, there are more interesting and exciting things intellectually than at any given time in history. And a few of the things that I've seen recently that I can't recommend enough is The War Against America on HBO, which was fantastic, and I think is going to be Emmy nominated. It's absolutely brilliant. Hamilton on the Disney Plus channel was extraordinary, and if you saw the play, at least with the TV version, you're going to understand the words because you can put the words on and closed captioning. That makes a difference. On Amazon, a show called Upload is absolutely brilliant and looks at what happens in the future after you die. And it's written by one of the great comedic geniuses in the TV business, Greg Daniels. It's fantastic. I mean, there's just so many great shows that we watch. The Council of Dads, which was recently on NBC, was absolutely brilliant. The Baker and the Beauty on ABC. So there's a lot of choice out there, and a lot of these shows will inspire you.
I agree. Because TV, let's be honest, it gets maligned, right? It gets, because a lot of speakers on stage will say, and Bill, I know turn off the TV. And it really is, because you got to watch what you input, because what you input is part of what you output. But there is some amazing stuff on that. I think it changes some of the frames and some of the ways you look at things. And it's also good to laugh, right, Steve? It's really okay. You know what? I am going through the old Seinfelds again, and I'm laughing like I did the first time. Let alone if you take a look at the business behind it. For anybody who's an entrepreneur on here, Hollywood's a business. Everybody get that? So there's so many business paradigms within what you can learn with how those things happen. It's great learning. We'll have to, Steve, I'm going to have you back in a month or so and talk more from a business perspective. I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah, one note I just want to add as well is that the TV business is now also becoming the book business. Any book that's worth its oats, and it's been written in the last 10 years, is now being optioned and moved into television, both as short series as well as movies. So if you don't have time to do a lot of reading, but you want to see things that really are fantastic. You can see these books in 5-6 episodes, and they're great.
Yeah, I agree. Mary.
Well, I am an avid reader, and I love Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra are two of my favorites. And of course, Tony Robbins is one of my favorites. But I think most of my learning and growth has come from events, going to events, seminars, and working directly with Tony, because, I mean, my belief is there's nobody more brilliant than he is. And his insight into the human psyche is just amazing. So I have, had the privilege of being able to be coached by him. So I feel really blessed in that era. But I am an avid reader, and I love history. So I do read a lot of history books, and give me freedom or give me death and that kind of thing. So I am a big advocate. If we don't know history, we're bound to repeat it. So I'm a big fan of history, but Deepak Chopra is an amazing, all of his books are amazing. So I think that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from.
Yeah, and it is those, it's, well, I mean, look at the mindset that you were around for 18 years. See, I got that this time. But, and it is what takes us. And you were coached, and you've been around some of the best of the best. And the greatest thing is, though, you made a decision to use it and make a difference with it. Because a lot of people just shelve it. They go, yeah. And they start the I know. And what's great about you, Mary, knowing you for a long time now, is you're always willing to learn. You're always willing to learn. And there's always, right, as you learn, you grow. And you've always, even with everything you've done, you're still growing. And I love it.
It's been painful, but particularly with Tony, because he's very straightforward.
Yes. yes. And moving on. Alyssa, go ahead.
So mine is First Things First by Stephen Covey. When I was in my early 20s, I started out by mentoring my athletes with his son's version. And when I was reading it to the kids, and we did lots of journaling and stuff and workbook as he had it in his book, I was like, this is good stuff. I'm going to get the adult version. So I actually add that to every year I do a year-end review. It's part of what David and I do after we do our 90-day individual runs, then we do a year-end review. I always reread First Things First, because I call it the Bible of your foundation. It goes through like how to do a vision statement, how to break down who you are, what your core values are. And oftentimes what happens is those things change. And so when you realize those things don't matter to me as much, you change. And that's why I believe 100% the people that I've worked with one-on-one is that when they start losing focus or losing passion, it's because their core values and what's important to them or their vision has shifted, and they haven't realized it. And now they need to move everything over. So that one. And then Strength Finders is a newly developed love of mine over the last 5 years with developing my leadership team. It's called Strength Finders 2.0, but pretty much anything Strength Finders. If you can get to know your people and what makes them tick as a leader, as a boss, as a CEO, even as, a head of a household, the more you know your children and what makes them tick, I just think that is ultimately, it makes everyone happy. Like the energy flow is so nice. And like Mary said, it's painful going through lots of challenges, but if you know who you are and your core value and what makes you tick, it makes it a lot easier going through all those things through life.
That's right. Strength Finders. I know that one really well. I know a lot of people use it. Actually, our churches used it. So Strength Finders is really awesome, actually. So we're gonna just watch our time here, but everybody take a minute. And this is always one of those questions. If I was either brand new in business or starting in business or getting to be an entrepreneur, just what are 3 things you could recommend that I do, or 3 things that you teach? If it's 1 or 2, that's fine too. Or even just the way I look at life, whatever that is, whatever those 3 little lessons that I could take away from this call and go, oh yeah, Steve said, or oh yeah, Meredith said, even if it's one thing that has gotten you to where you're at, I want them to be able to use something right now, not 6 months from now, or worry about, oh, do I have to buy a product? Yes, buy everything on the planet, I can tell you right now. But what is that, 1, 2, or 3 things that they can do right now? Who should I start with? This is always, you always wait till Meredith.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so really first for me, that has been the biggest thing, because I call myself kind of an accidental stumbler into what I'm doing, and it has evolved at age. I think I started maybe believing that I could do this when I was 57 years old. Right. So reinventing. So never, ever, ever put limitations on yourself, ever. And if you are tempted to do that, look at the place that you're putting the limitation on, because your passion lies there in your blind side. So absolutely go after that. And tied to that is find a mentor. There's a belief for some reason that you can't buy time. You absolutely, well, maybe physically you can't buy time, but you can buy someone's expertise and avoid losing time when you have the right mentors and you have the right coaches and you have the right people helping you, to guide you, helping to read the label when you're inside the bottle. That can be super, super, super huge. And then again, really, really big for me has been that inner game. As Tony Robbins says, it's 80% psychology, 20%, right? And so for me, it's that awareness, especially to your language. So for example, when you say my challenge is something, most people would say that the most powerful word in the sentence is the word challenge, when in reality, it's the word is, because that's your programming code. That is how you are defining your reality. So if I have a saying that tense creates tension if you don't pay attention. So pay attention to what your ises are, what your present tense reality, because you are creating truth with all capital letters. So be aware, listen to that, listen to your focus, get great mentors, and absolutely don't accept for a minute from anyone else, much less yourself, that you have any limits.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was, and I won't plus it too much. We don't have time for me to keep plussing, but that was great. Alyssa?
So number one, mentor. I know you're going to get lots of repetitive, but 100%. It saves you time. And also, if somebody's already done it before you, why not? Like, and you don't always have to follow 100% what they say, but you've got that seed in the back of your head. So number one, mentor. And I would hire somebody. Like, I didn't hire my first mentor till about 15 years ago, and I'm almost 50. Like, I would, yes, in my 20s, hire somebody, put that money out there. So that's important, mentorship. Number two, practice what you preach. That's something that my parents taught me from a very beginning stage of life. Practice what you preach, because then you're authentic. So anytime you're engaging with people, they will pick up on you being authentic. Very, very important, especially if you're in sales or any kind of leadership. And then three, I would say just become an expert in your field. Work at it so hard and so diligently, and understand, like John C. Maxwell says, failing forward is part of the journey. Do not be afraid to fail. It's one of the biggest things that I think a lot of people have. I was a gymnast, so it taught me failing every day is what we do as a gymnast. You're always failing, but you're growing at the same time. So super important. So those three things. Over to you, Michael.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Well done too. Mary?
Well, I would say get in line and stay in line. So it's so important that you continue on your goals, your missions, your passions, because many times we give up and we're only a few feet away from success. So get in line and stay in line. Stay focused also. So many people are going to tell you you're too young, you're too old, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too something. Just stay focused and know who you are and know what your goals and objectives are, so that you just move forward. And I think those are like the two most important things. I agree with a mentor, and sometimes you pay for a mentor, sometimes you work for a mentor. So look at different options that support you.
Awesome. Thank you. Steve?
Number one, you've got to love what you do. The people who are the most successful in any career are the people who love it the most and want to spend the time learning and growing and synthesizing everything they can about it. So love what you do, commit to it totally. You have to know how to structure your time. You have to know how to use time. It's the greatest ally we have. The people I know who are the most successful know how to make the best use of their time. And number three, everything in life is about relationships and about learning how to relate to other people and being a real team player. Learning how to win for others is helping you to learn how to win for yourself.
Awesome. This has been a great panel. I want to thank you all for being on. Meredith and Alyssa are ready to work with you right now to take you to that next level, or just to walk you through whatever process it is that you need to expand your own knowledge of how do I take my business from here to here and how do I make the difference. Very simply, go to ipowerteam.com/freedom. You find their name on the drop down. If for some reason your computer is not playing with the drop down well, you can just easily text SBA to 26786 and I will get you in touch. I'll give my email out later so you can email me. But it's ipowerteam.com/freedom. Fill out the form, get the information now. Mary and Steve would also take any further questions. You can send them directly to me. I'll get them to them and they'll get them answered to get you to that next level, whatever that means for you. I want to thank you all for being on the panel. It's been a delight to have you all on today. You can stay on for a couple minutes while I bring on our next speaker, and then you can drop off when it worked for you. But I've really enjoyed the time. Steve from the TV and movie industry, but you were also an executive, and that's a different perspective. Mary, for 18 years with Tony Robbins, and what you created and did together, and continued on with Harv Eker and everything else that you did around the world. Meredith, really what you've gone through, they don't even know your story yet, and continuing to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And Alyssa, you and David, just taking people around the world and helping them get their mindset, and all the gymnasts that you've affected around the world, which we didn't even get into. You're all amazing. Thank you so much for being on, and I give you a big standing ovation. I won't play the big background music. You guys are amazing. Thank you all so much. All right, we're about to move into our next round, and so if you want to work with them, very simply, just go to ipowerteam.com/freedom. If you have trouble reaching that, or you like what we do and the people that we work with and the 300 events, you can always text SBA to 26786. That will get you directly to me. I'll text you back, set up an appointment. Let me figure it out what you need. Or is it you just want to work with us at Power Team and to see what that looks like? Just text SBA to 26786. Simple and easy, and it really makes a difference. So next we have an amazing gentleman that I'm about to bring on, and I'm just waiting for his camera to turn on, if he can hear. There we go. I always like to see a smiling face and then put him in the stream. So for everybody on this, we're really excited. We just had a panel with the woman who was Tony Robbins' executive vice president for 18 years. We just had a panel with an award-winning producer that not only ran AMC and comedy at Paramount and NBC, parts of NBC, vice president with Fred Silverman, and has the longest-running show on Hallmark. But we also had two women, Meredith and Alyssa, who take you to the next level. Now we're going to really look at that human potential. And for those of you on, I'm really excited to have him on today. I am Senior Vice President of Global Training for Power Team. Bill Walsh has changed my life. I've been in this industry for 20 years. I've worked with the teams that put Tony on and Robert Kiyosaki. I worked with Harv Eker for 3.5 years. We traveled the world together. I then spent 7 years building out the rest of his programs to really leave the legacy in the U.S. And being with Power Team, this next gentleman, I know, I have never met actually, even though I've been on all the same stages that I've been on at just different times. And I think that's really awesome. And seeing him change lives of millions of people and tens of thousands of students that I've had some personal experience with. So without any further ado and any other buildup, Dr. John Demartini is a world-renowned specialist in human behavior, a researcher, author, and global educator. He has developed a series of solutions applicable across all market sectors and age groups. He has studied over 30,000 books across all defined academic disciplines and has synthesized the wisdom of the ages, which he shares on stage. And I'll tell you, he's been on stage in over 100 countries. Because I know a lot of the people who put him on and the difference that he made in their lives. Without any further ado, with his presentations, keynotes, seminars, and workshops, he leaves clients with insights into their behavior and keys to their empowerment. without any further ado, let's give a big standing ovation because you're coming onto the stage virtually for Dr. John Demartini. Hello there.
Hi. Thank you for the intro.
How was that? Was that a
That was lovely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being on today. We really appreciate the time with you. I'm gonna this half hour is yours, and our audience is entrepreneurial, and with everything going on in this world today, it's really affected them. I'm gonna let you just take it away, and I'll come back for any questions that come up, or I'll watch on the board too. And I appreciate you so much for being here. But in this COVID world, that's what people are looking at. How do they just keep going? So a little more about your background and just do what you do brilliantly. Thank you for being here, John.
Thank you. I've been in the education business this is going my 48th year. So I've been speaking quite a bit. I'm a firm believer that the world around you is not what is the factor that determines what you achieve in life. It's your perception, decisions, and actions about that. What I'd like to share, since I only have 20 to 30 minutes here, is something that impacted my life at age 27 that I feel has helped thousands of other people. And it doesn't really matter where you are or what stage you are or what you're going through. Even in COVID situations, this will be applicable. So if you have something to write with and write on, maybe a full piece of paper or a file that you can put in, I think this will be helpful. At age 27, I was fledgling in the health business, and I was doing a little of everything. I was majoring in minors and minoring in majors, and I was a bit overwhelmed. I was not very productive. I was getting by, but I wasn't productive. I decided to go to a Walden's bookstore, which was a chain at the time, and get a book called The Time Trap by Howard McKinsey. As I was devouring this book, you know how you find books sometimes that just resonate with you, and summarizing the book, which I did consistently, I put into operation what I learned. And so if you have this piece of paper, I'd like you to put 5 lines down in equally spaced to make 6 columns equal, and write down what I'm about to share. This one little exercise helped me transform my fledgling business. In 18 months, I 10-folded the business, and I'll share more about it as I go here. But what I'd like you to do is to write down on the far left column of the 6 columns, every single thing you do in a day. And be really integral and honest about what you do. From the time you get up to the time you go to bed. What do you do in a day? Now, these are not broad, vague, general labels. These are specific action steps that you do in a day. They can be divided into personal and then professional. But what is a typical day? I want you to include anything you might do over a 3-month period. Because some days or some days out of the week or month, you might do something specific that you don't do every day. But include it in there. I want you to write down every single action step you take over a 3-month period in a daily basis and write it down. I end up with 139 different items. Some of you have more, some less. But I wrote them all down in that first column. As I was doing that, I was already, right on the spot, I was getting insights about, wow, I'm doing a lot of stuff that's not really as productive as it could be. And I'm majoring in minors and mining in majors for sure. I made that list, divided up into personal, professional, and home or work. Once I got through that list, I went to the second column. And I did the best extrapolations I could to identify what I do in each of those items and how much does it actually produce per hour. So sometimes I would do an exam, for instance, in a health professional, and I would charge $125. I'd multiply that times 6 in an hour, $750. And then I would do narratives, and I'd take 2 hours to write a narrative, it'd be $400, that's $200 an hour. And I would do various procedures in the clinic that would make X, and I'd break it down, and I'd try to itemize it per hour. best extrapolation and estimation as I could. Some things I was doing, I wasn't charging at all. I wasn't valuing it, and I was spending my time on it, but I wasn't even getting an income from it. But I just made a list of everything that I did and how much it produced per hour. That was eye-opening, because even though I went nearly to 10 years to professional school, I realized that I was actually doing things that I was taught to do that wasn't the most productive things. I found out if I went out and I did a presentation to 100 people or 1,000 people, that I would generate new business. And in that hour, I could generate $10,000 to $20,000 an hour doing that compared to what I could do clinically sitting in a cubicle. And that was mind-blowing. Here I'm getting specialized training to do something that's actually not the highest priority thing I could be doing in my business. So I made the list, and it ranged from something at 0 all the way up to about $20,000 an hour. I was very surprised at what it ended up being sometimes. But I made that list, and I did the best extrapolation I could. And then I reprioritized that list completely based on what it produced the most down to least. Because I defined something that produced as something that serves another human being in meeting some of their highest values and fulfilling their life, or they would not be paying. Somebody's not going to pay for something they don't value. So that means I'm meeting somebody's needs, and I'm getting paid to do that. So in the process of doing that, I was very clear that I was definitely not doing the most important things. And I made that list, I summarized it, I reprioritized it according to what produced the most per hour in an astonishing list, all the way down to the least. I also made decisions that I was going to start charging for certain things that I wasn't charging for, which raised my value on myself. So that one exercise was useful in looking at, deeply reflecting and introspecting about what's really truly what my time is used for and what's actually producing. In my third column, I wrote down what meaning it had. On a 1 to 10 scale, meaning at number 10, something truly inspiring me that I couldn't wait to get up in the morning and do, that I was really, really inspired by, that I just loved doing, and some things that was actually not engaging. And I put a 10 at the top for the things that are inspiring, I'd love to do it, and things that I got to do down to bottom, 0 or 1. And I then did that entire list according to meaning. And I was quite amazed because I was definitely weighing myself down. Because anytime you do things that are high on your value list, your hierarchy of values, you raise your self-worth, you raise your energy, you raise your space and time horizons, you wake up a natural and emergent leader. There's many benefits of living by priority. And so what I did is I basically was looking at what was meaningful and what wasn't. And I then went back and reprioritized that list. And then I looked at the common threads between what was most meaningful and what was most producing income. And I'm very thankful that some of them were the ones at the top of both of those were there. Because I really love what I do, and I found out the things that were working were the things I love doing, which is great. But not all of them, most of them. So now I had a list of things that were producing the most down and the things that were most meaningful, and I had that list reprioritized. In the next column, number 4, I wrote down what would it cost to delegate those procedures, to duplicate myself, extract surplus labor value out of other people, delegate it away, and free myself. What would it cost to do that? And I don't mean just salary cost, but every cost. The space utilization, the equipment, the depreciation cost, the parking cost, the insurance, training, lost opportunity cost, every single cost, penny. I went down the thing and made sure I got every cost. And this is at an A level. This is not somebody that's just somebody you have to push uphill and micromanage. This is somebody that was a top quality person I could get to do that job equivalent to me and get my ego out of the way and what was the highest standard I could get. What would it cost me? And when I did that, I looked for the biggest spreads between what it produced per hour versus what it cost me. So I could then reprioritize that list according to what was really, truly the most probable extraction of income of the least amount of work. If I could delegate it, produce income. And it made me realize what was most inspiring to me in the meaning versus what I was delegating. And I realized I was also weighing myself down with lower priority things that I felt that I could do and only I could do and this kind of thing. When I finished that list and prioritized that list according to spread, that was very eye-opening. Then on the next column, number 5, I wrote down exactly what is the time I'm actually spending on this? how many minutes do I actually spend in a day, truly on average, doing this? And that was definitely eye-opening, because I really wasn't being honest with myself until I actually made myself do that with integrity. And I was imagining I was doing something, but I was actually taking longer on certain things and less on others. When I got that list done, I looked at all of them across the board. And then I went to the final column, which was the final prioritization. If you don't fill your day with the highest priority actions that inspire you, your day is automatically designed by entropy to fill up with low priority distractions and junk. It's a basic law of physics. Nobody violates it. If you don't fill your time, if you don't fill your space, if you don't expend your money on high priority asset producing things that work for you so you can become a master of economics, you will automatically have unexpected bills that depreciate in the process. And if you don't fill your space, time, energy, and you don't fill your energy, if you don't spend your energy on the most important things, it will be drained by things that are least important. So I prioritized that list, then divided that and sliced that up into 10 layers, decided I was going to delegate my way from the bottom layers up to the top. At the final, I would duplicate myself. But I started at the bottom. And it took me 3 people to hire to finally get the person to do that one. It took me 2 people in the next one, 1 person in the next one, 2 on the next one. And over the next 18 months, I liberated myself from every single thing that I was doing, except what I loved doing most, which going out there, I always say a man on a mission has a message. I was out there sharing the message, inspiring people in their health, end up drawing in people in this patients. I ended up hiring 5 doctors to take care of all the clinical. I trained them, which I love most. And I basically was doing the things that I loved, and I was inspired, and I couldn't wait to go to work. My energy level was up. And as you know, that magnetizes business to you. And I realized that in 18 months, I tenfolded my income. I ended up having from 2 people all the way to 5 doctors and 12 staff members. And I went from a little office to a 5,000 square foot clinic, and it was just absolutely booming. I ended up having my own TV show. I ended up having megaphone lectures going on around the area. I started having opportunities to speak throughout the United States. I mean, doors of opportunity. When you're doing what you love and loving what you do, I believe Steve was mentioning that on the last panel. When you're doing what you love and loving what you do, divine providence and human sovereignty match. Necessity and contingency match. Determinism and indeterminism match. The philosophical free will, the liberated mind that's not bound by infatuation, resentments, and gyrations of the amygdala down below, allow you to be clear and focused. The blood glucose and oxygen, when you're on priority, when you're living by the highest priority, your blood glucose and oxygen goes into your executive center in the forebrain. Its inspired vision awakens. The executive function of strategic planning goes, and you see how you can accomplish things. Your desire to execute is spontaneous, and you have self-governance, calming down the amygdalas where it's impulses and instincts, which are distractions that keep you disempowered instead of empowered. So by doing that exercise, prioritizing what I did, I liberated myself from a lot of low priority things, and it liberated me. And I've been using that now for 38 years. And I can say that that's been one of the most significant little exercises. And I just thought I would share that, because even in Corona, it has nothing to do with what's going on. When I hear people saying that there's problems because of Corona, I just go, no, I don't see that. Because I've seen amazing opportunities emerge. I saw New Delhi for the first time. I was there recently speaking, and you couldn't see anything. I saw New Delhi visible. I could see the mountains in the background. Los Angeles had some of the cleanest air. Innovations have been born all over the people. People have gone into entrepreneurship. Zoom has boomed across the countries. Companies that are online are just flourishing. I see people coming up with ways of doing things with their families. I've seen innovations. So I don't see, I always say a master is the one that can see that no matter what in the crisis, there's blessings. And they don't get infatuated with fantasies. They automatically find meaning in extractions. I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter what happens on the outside. It's what you perceive, decide, and do. You have control over perception, decisions, and actions. So the Corona is saying Corona to me, because I believe that everything that goes on in your life is on the way, never in the way. And the quality of our life is based on the quality questions we ask. If we ask amazing questions, how specifically is whatever's happening right now helping me fulfill what is most meaningful to me and my mission on planet Earth? If you stop and answer that question, nothing's going to stop you. You're going to be inspired by what you do, which which is our natural birthright. I found 7 questions that also can help people, no matter what situation that they're in, and ask themselves and be honest. First, you need to go and look at really what your life demonstrates truly committed and what you're really inspired by. How do you fill your space? How do you spend your time? What energizes you? How do you spend your money? What is really your place of order and organization? Where you spontaneously disciplined? What is it you actually think about, visualize, and internally dialogue with yourself about how you would love your life that shows evidence of coming true? What is you love conversing with other people about most? What's common to the people who inspire you, and what inspires you with tears? What is it that you set as goals that are actually building momentum and being achieved? And what is it you love learning about? Those are real determinate indicators of what really is important to you, to start prioritizing your life according to that, not the conformity, not the subordination to the world on the outside. You got to be an unborrowed visionary, a real inspired visionary from within, an authentic within, as one of the speakers just described. If we go and be ourselves, the magnificence of who we are is far greater than any fantasies we'll impose on ourselves by the induction of other people's values that cloud the clarity of our own mission on planet Earth. So we want to ask ourselves, what is it that we would absolutely love to do in our life? And I mean something that is service-oriented, that actually makes a difference, that contributes, because we all want to make a difference. How do I get handsomely and beautifully paid to do it? Because if you ask the question, how can I afford to do it, you're coming from a debt thinking. How do I get handsomely and beautifully paid and inspired to get paid to do that? So my vocation and my vacation are the same, and I'm not sitting there having Monday morning blues, Wednesday hump days, thank God it's Fridays, and week friggin' ends as a life. And you're not having to escape with breaks, vacations, and retirement away from something you didn't love doing. Have Bonnie Ware's regrets in your life. You want to ask, what is it I'd absolutely love to do? How do I get handsomely and beautifully paid to do it? What are the highest priority actions I can do today to make me move one step closer to that reality? What obstacles might I run into, and how do I solve in advance with foresight, not hindsight? Telenomic hindsight with trial and error is the least amount of mentorship, and foresight and planning and master planning your life is what makes you a master. What is it actual things that work today? What didn't work today? Ask that question. How do I do it more effectively and efficiently tomorrow? And how, no matter what happened in my life, no matter what it is, praise, reprimand, support, challenge, crisis, blessing, no matter what happened, how is it helping me get my mission? If you answer that question and do it on a daily basis, and then at the end of the day, document what you've achieved, metric what you've accomplished, and document what you're grateful for, the gratitude attitude makes you sleep and rest at night and get you up in the morning inspired to go do what you love. So I just wanted to share that as a starting point. I realize my time is limited, but I thought I would just give something as a little gem there.
You know, but that's actually a great gem, because with we hear so much of that. We deal with so many entrepreneurs right now, and you do too. There's almost this freeze that has started a little bit. And the thing that also comes up, you just addressed, and I'm glad you did, and maybe you could say a little bit more, is first of all, how do they stay focused and stay away, whether from TV or CNN or whatever's going on that's bombarding their brain to, like, the world's a terrible place at the moment, and even just their daily activities. I was going to ask one question. You go to sleep at night with the gratitude, but do you plan the next day of excitement or things you're going to create at night, or should you do it in the morning? Can you address that? That comes up all the time.
You know, I'm so clear. I learned from Mary Kay 36 years ago now. I asked her after speaking about 4,500 women at the Anatole in Dallas. I said, what advice can you give a young aspiring speaker that wants to travel the world and speak? She says, every day, write down the 6 or 7 highest priority actions that you'd love to do, that are the highest priority actions you can do that day to help you fulfill your mission. So I kept a little index card, and I did that every single day. Highest priority actions I could think of to find out what is that one thing, as Gary Keller says, that one thing that really turns you on. And I kept records of it, and I kept it in a box. And then one day I went through them all, and I found out what was the highest priorities of the highest priorities, the 20% of the 20% of the 20%. And for me, it was research, write, travel, teach. Which is my mission book, Research, Write, Travel, Teach. I have a 25-volume mission book of what I'm up to, and I'm very clear about it. And I found that if I'm actually clear about my highest priority, I don't get distracted. Distractions are a symptom of not being clear on what that priority is. And if that priority is truly an intrinsic value that inspires to you, the thing that you can't wait to get up in the morning and do, you don't get distracted. And if you don't delegate other things, you'll end up having to do micromanage things and do things that you don't inspire to do. And that's when you want to distract. So to stay focused, find the highest priority thing, stick to the highest priority thing, build momentum and genius around that. It's natural. It's what we have inside us. And don't try to be something we're not. Don't surround yourself with actions that aren't inspiring to you. Delegate those and get on with the thing that produces the most and makes the most and serves the most.
That's that is great. That actually addressed the question. That's one of the best answers I've ever. Thank you for that. The other thing too is it always comes up that people don't want to. We always say invest in yourselves, right? Invest in yourself first. But there's sometimes this fear of, they understand coaching now. They get coaching, but there's still a little bit of shyness around investing or finding mentors and masterminds. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the thing is you want to make sure that there's a congruency between the values of the individuals that you get mentored by, because if you try to be, Emerson said it in his essays on compensation and essays in circles and things. He said, envy is ignorance and imitation is suicide. You don't want to try to be somebody you're not. You don't want to be second at Elvis. You want to be first at you. And you want to make sure that the individual that you're mentoring under has enough congruency in the value system that you can apply what you learn. Or otherwise they're going to be asking you to do something that goes against the value structure, or you got to shift your value and restack new associations and values. But if you don't set a goal that matches the values, you need to change the values to match the goals. Otherwise there's no congruency and there's internal conflict, and that's self-defeating. And then they wonder why you're distracted. So mentorship is essential, but in my case, it's been thousands of them. There's not one mentor. I've had thousands. Started when I was 17. I've had thousands. I've stood on the shoulders of thousands of people reading and studying, and mentors I met. But I'm a firm believer in making sure that you value yourself. Money circulates through the economy from those who value it least to those who value it most. And if you don't really value it, but you think you do, when I've asked millions of people, how many of you want to be financially independent? They all put their hands up. And then when I ask how many are, their hands go down. What they want is immediate gratifying, the lifestyle of the rich and famous. They want the immediate gratification, but their life is demonstrating they're buying consumables that depreciate in value instead of buying assets that work for them. Otherwise, they're going to be slaves to money, working their whole life for money and not having money work for them as a master. So you have to really, truly have a value on wealth building. And you truly want to make sure that if you do, you're automatically going to do it. Whatever's highest on your value, you spontaneously are inspired to do within. You don't need extrinsic motivation. If you need motivation on the outside, you haven't found your mission on the inside. That's my experience. I'm inspired by what I do. I don't need motivation to do what I do. I've been doing it 47 and a half years. I've done it all over the world, and I'm absolutely certain that you can find that. And when you do, you don't need motivation anymore. You're inspired. Motivation is a symptom, never a solution for an inspired humanity.
Okay, this has been great. This is just because it is a perfect timing for those to find that part of themselves, that it's like finding the why. It's the thing that you want to do and taking it out there, and nothing can distract you from it when you get to that place. For those who want to read, you've done so much, but for those who want to connect with you, I actually just posted your website. What's the best way to connect with you, whether by your website or going to Amazon right now and getting your book? What would you like them to do?
They can do any of those. They go to my website, drdemartini.com. They can go on my podcast, Dr. DeMartini Show, or whatever. They can go to books and Amazon. If I somehow inspire them and they resonate with it, when their why's big enough, the house will take care of themselves. They'll find me. I'm online all over the place. There's quite a few mentions. So if they want me, they can find me. And all I know is that I absolutely love doing what I'm doing. And I believe that to go through life and not do what you love every day is insane. You want to delegate the lower priority thing, get on with the highest priority things, give yourself permission to do something extraordinary on planet Earth. Shine, not shrink, radiate, not gravitate, and give yourself permission to go do something that's really inspiring. And most of the people here that may be listening may already be doing that, but give yourself permission to go to the next level on a daily basis.
Thank you so much for being on with us today. I know it goes fast. I took a lot of notes, and it's like half an hour. Where'd that go? I want to thank you for being on here today. I know, your time is very important, like the rest of us. It's changing and making a difference in other people out there. And for myself and Bill's, he couldn't be on today, but he wanted to send thank you for being on for us, for myself and Power Team. John, you make a difference in so many millions of lives. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
For me, and give Bill a big hug, and thank you for everybody. And I loved listening to the panel. Thank you so much.
I will. Thank you. All right, John, have a great day. You know, for those of you, I'm going to flash it on here. It is that mindset. We talk about the mindset that keeps us moving forward, that keeps us becoming greater at what we do, and knowing that why, which is why Rainmaker, we talk about that so much. But for more information, just go to drdemartini.com. You can see it up there right now. Get what, if he resonated with you. That was a really critical piece that was just said. That if it resonates with you, if it really drives you forward, those are the kind of mentors that you want to bring into your life. That's the difference that you are as we move forward, and it's really exciting. So I'm going to take that down right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about funnels right now. We're going to do a little bit of a shift. Everybody stretch, arms up. Right now, I know my right is your left, right? So left, right. Okay, we're done. We'll do it quick. And really give yourself a moment just to take in what Dr. Demartini did. Sometimes I'll go through what the speaker talked about, and we'll break it down a little bit. But I want to make sure that everybody out there has a concept of a funnel, because the next speaker I'm going to bring up not yet is going to really talk about getting yourself out there through press releases and marketing. And that's a brilliant subject. You need to take a lot of notes. But I want to make sure that you have the foundation of what a funnel could look like in your business. And I think that's a critical piece. So, and I know a lot of people don't type, you're shy, that's okay. Hey, Cynthia, how are you? But I want to make sure that it's the kind of thing that because we're going to move into that how to get yourself out there, right? That comes right after what I'm going to talk about. I want to make sure that your funnel in your business is locked in where you need to go. Then we're going to talk about gamification. And then we're going to do a great panel with two of the most amazing women you've ever known. And one of them has put some of the greatest speakers on around the planet. So her knowledge and information is just one to take in. And then I'll do a wrap up at the end. It's the kind of thing where, how is it that you take your business to the next level? How is it that you take your business and see the things that you want to drive forward? I'm going to actually type something up really quick. So hold on. I'm doing two things at once. And it's good that I can actually do that. Okay, didn't type it exactly right. I'll figure it out in a second. But it's the kind of thing where you have to take a look at where you are currently. So where am I at currently in my business? Now with Power Team, if we had 300 events a year, which we did, and we have now moved to 10 hours of virtual, why did we do that? We did that because Bill and I were sitting in a hotel. We did that because we saw the hotel occupancy go literally from 90% to 18% overnight. We did that because we realized the world had made a shift. And so we shifted at the same time. It's funny that people will say, well, I didn't know what was happening. You did if you were just had a little bit of a pulse on the system, or you're with organizations like us, because we had students with us that day that it happened. We told them what we were doing. And 10 days later, we launched a panel for 12 hours with Mark Victor Hansen and Sharon Lechter and on and on and on to have people change their mindsets. And that was virtual. And we shifted to virtually. So how has your business shifted within the model, or is your business flourishing because it's built for this model? Dr. Demartini said, look what's going on with Zoom. Look at what's going on with online businesses. There's as an entrepreneur, it's time to shift. And if you have just started in business, you've got to have a system in place. You've got to have a system in place that keeps you moving to that next level. You've got to have a system in place that drives you. I'm just bringing something up here that drives you to say, I can do this. And you want a team around you. You want a team that it's, I hate to use the term holds your hand, but you want a team that really impacts everything that you're going to do. And so it was, I've been in this business a long time, and I've been on stages all around the world, and I've put on most of the major speakers, and I've worked, some in Hollywood, and I have a podcast. And for me, it was getting stuck 3 years ago and taking a look at what do I need to do next. and falling, and having put thousands of people through this system, because we put Bill on stage for years, and realizing that I needed Rainmaker as much as my students did. So I took it, right? And it actually, we're starting a virtual and live tomorrow. So any of you want to join us right now, you can text SBA to 26786 or go to rainmakersystems.net and sign up right away. And for the first time ever, you're going to get it at a discount, lot less expensive, because we want people to move forward. But if you just text SBA to 26786, I can give you the special for Rainmaker. And I'll make that a difference in everything that you do. And you'll start class tomorrow, and you'll be able to work with us. We'll work with you for a year. But the critical piece here, and I think that's so important, is I want you to know that creating a funnel to drive a business in your life, the difference that it makes is, first of all, write this down. Who comes into your funnel? That's number one. Who are you bringing into your funnel, and how are you bringing them in? So as you move people into your funnel and drive them into a system, the great thing about that is, what is that? You always look at the next step. Okay, so who's coming into the funnel? How are you going to get them in there? And we're going to talk a lot about that with the next speaker I'll be bringing on. And then what is that first step that they run into? Is it they're going to hear your podcast? Is it your YouTube channel? Is it a personal call? What is that they will find in building a relationship with you? It's your product, your service. What problem are you solving? Write that down. So as you drop them into your funnel and build them into becoming more, right? You are not only the expert, but will you help them in execution? And do you do that within your own business? Do you execute what it is that you need others to know? So if I come into your funnel and let's say I found you through your website. Now that's not easy, right? There's a lot of ways to look at how to do that, how to market that, to make sure that you get yourself out there. And that's what we'll talk about next. But let's say I found you. And I click on it, and there's 7 buttons. I don't know what to click. I'm done. I'm gone after 3. But right away, it talks a little bit maybe about you. And it's some testimonials for you. But the testimonials don't say how great you are. The testimonials need to talk about the results that your students got, the people who bought your products, the people who worked with you. And I become a little bit intrigued because the results sound like something that I would potentially want for me or my business. And what is that next step? Is there a podcast? You should have a podcast. Everybody should have a podcast that I can listen to. Is there a podcast that I can listen to that will help me become more? Is there a YouTube channel that I'm going to watch? How do I build more of a relationship with you? Are you going to take me away from the site? No, make sure it's right there. And then as you're building your business, is it then I decide, wow, you have one-on-one coaching, I want to work with you. Let's say that's your business model. Let's say that I saw you on stage. The thing becomes, what's next? I work with you for 3 months and I think you're great and I want to continue on. Maybe I work for 3 months with you and I think I've had enough right now and I don't move on. But have you shown me what happens if I move on? And in business, that's a critical piece to take that to the next step. Because remember, it can't always be about you. So if you're building your business funnel, pieces, first of all, how do people get into the funnel? And that's what you're going to be listening and learning about in just a little bit. How do they come into the funnel? Who's coming into the funnel? And then what do you do when they come into the funnel? So they come to your private coaching. What next? Is it group mentoring? And then do they go to a mastermind? Is there a retreat? Do you send them to somebody else's retreat because you're going to affiliate? You never wanted to do a retreat in your whole life. But the critical piece where this always gets stuck is, number one, how to get them there, right? Because nobody knows who you are. And the other critical piece is where is the path? Do they see a clear vision of I'm here now, I'm going there, and I want to work with you. The brilliance about speakers that we train and speakers that I've learned from is they paint a picture, but they paint a picture of reality. I don't paint a picture, let's dream about where you can go. Even Marsha Weeder, who created Dream University and Dream Coaches, there is that difference because a dream is a reality. It's not a fantasy because it's backed by numbers and figures and how to get there. This is the thing that I love to do. Great. Do you know your daily numbers that you need to hit? How many calls you need to make? What your website needs to do? Your statistics. Do you know how much you need to make per hour to get to where you want to get to? Do you have the dollars that you need? And the problem is where people typically is they don't know that, or they shortchange themselves when it comes to marketing and PR. That is always work because you got to drive the funnel. If you spend nothing else, right? And I know you all will because you're all going to join us for Rainmaker tomorrow, right? You're going to join us for Rainmaker tomorrow. So text SBA to 26786. You need to figure out quickly what do you need to spend or what do you need to do so you have promotion and marketing in your camp. And if you can't do it, hire somebody. But don't just hire anybody. Talk to the experts. Talk to we put together a team because we're there to help you through that next process. And that will make a big difference as you're the entrepreneur that you know you are. So you drop them into the top of the funnel. You become the expert. Maybe you're not the expert. You have somebody else become the expert. You have somebody else who does the speaking for you. Maybe you're more from an event supervisor or manager, or you're running the company and you're not the face of the company. Somebody else is. But those are the decisions that are really critical. But the problem is what happens is we spend so much time on all of that and we still have no clients. We have nobody come into our system, which is why that is such a critical piece. And the reason, I'll bring her up in a couple minutes, but the reason that we brought the next speaker to you is because that is a critical piece. That's the piece that everybody misses. That's the piece that nobody spends any time on. The one thing that Dr. Demartini talked about, I mean, it was all amazing, right? Is where are you spending your time? And how critical is your time compared to time that you're going to do something else? And as you bring that into relationship with how successful you are, it's critical. Do you know your why? Do you know why you're going out there? Do you know what you're great at? Do you know how to delegate it? Do you know what don't spend years building your program. What if nobody buys it, right? Find somebody to market you, to the PR, the relations, build all that for you. And then you just create an outline. And if they love what you have, they'll buy it, and then you build it. Does that make sense? But don't spend your life building something, selling to somebody who doesn't even want what you have. I spent 3.5 years on the road with T.R. Becker, who used to own and run Peak Potentials, one of the most amazing gentlemen on the planet. Taught me, if nothing else, your time is critical and your time is important. Dr. Demartini was talking about that, and got to find the thing that you love to do. I love doing what I'm doing right now because I know we're going to solve solutions. We're going to solve problems for some of you out there who are willing to listen and say, I know nothing and I'm willing to learn. And that will be a critical piece. So right now, get out a piece of paper and get ready to learn more. Because now is the time for the education, the knowledge, the learning, and everything that you do and everything that you do well. The next speaker that I'm going to bring up in just a few minutes, and if she nods her head, I'll know she's ready. But the next speaker, or if she smiles, she's still playing. When she nods her head, I'll know. Okay. But, it is, and I'm going to give her a little bit more time. I'll tell you, I've heard her on stage many times. I did a radio show with her, and I realized this is one of those pieces that everybody misses. This is one of those pieces that they don't either spend enough, they don't invest enough, they don't understand the critical nature of it. Yep, got it. They don't understand how it drives them. And you've got to open yourself up to that education and information and knowledge. So everybody get ready in just a couple minutes. We're about to rock this house. We're about to take your press releases, your marketing, your information to that next level. This lady, and there's no bio in front of me. I know her well. She's been on radio more than most of us have slept in our lives. She knows how to PR and market you the way nobody else does, because part of what she does in a way that almost nobody else does is gets to your message, gets to who you are, drops into that piece of your business that you ignore all the time. And it's not just about that she can do that for you, because she's also built a brilliant business. She also is a Rainmaker grad. She's been to Platinum Speaker Camp. She's been on over 100 stages over the last year and a half. She's now been virtually alive every single morning. She's lighting up the airwaves. I've seen the show. Everybody I know has been on it. Every great speaker is on it. And this is just an exciting time. Without any further ado, a huge round of applause. And you're just brilliant at what you do. Let's give a big round of applause for Angel Duthie. Angel, how are you?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
Can't hear you, Angel. Can't hear you.
Can't
There
hear
you go.
me.
Awesome.
Can you hear
You're
me
on now.
Can you hear me now? Are we good?
No, we're good. You're good. You're on. Yeah,
I
we're
feel
on.
like the Verizon guy.
Can hear you. Yeah. Don't do that. That's right.
Oh,
I know,
sorry.
really. And you actually have a little delay. No, it's okay. You have a little delay, and that's okay. Your voice in your is just a little delayed, which is great because it looks like one of the great Bruce Lee movies. But it's the kind of thing where Angel has been on stages around the world. She's affected not only myself and Bill Walsh, but everybody else that we work with. So I'm going to give her the stage. I'm going to back out. Angel, I'm going to let you go about 35, 40 minutes, and I'm going to pop back on. There's some questions actually I have right away, even before we even started. And then they're going to want to know how to get in touch with you, because you're going to want to work with Angel now, not later, not tomorrow, now. Angel, thank you for being on.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I closed everything down off of my computer. Hopefully it is a smooth sailing from here, but God bless technology. It is what has kept us all sane and connected and moving forward during this time. And Michael, thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Power Team for all that you're doing to stay in front of the audience and the world, and to be that business first responder for all of us. I am super proud to be a Rainmaker graduate and a Platinum graduate. I was a radio talk show host for 10 years. And for the last 12 years, I've been teaching small business owners and entrepreneurs how to get more exposure, how to get more visibility. Do you wish more people have heard of you? Are you out there doing amazing things going, why aren't enough people picking this up? I had a conversation with somebody earlier today. He says, Angel, we should be getting more downloads. We should be getting more exposure, but it's just not happening. And this is the cry of small business owners. So if that's where you have been and you want more exposure, you want to impact hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, want to attract more leads, work smarter, not harder. That is the power of media exposure. And when I say media exposure, I mean traditional media, radio, television, magazines, podcasts, press releases, publishing, traditional media. And we're going to give you some really good, juicy stuff today. Hopefully, you have a way to take notes. We're going to give you lots of resources, lots of tips, lots of little behind the scenes secrets that came from me being in broadcasting for over 10 years. I was in broadcasting. I was a talk show host, a radio talk show host for 10 years here out of Denver, Colorado. Hosted a 2-hour business talk show, 2 hours a day, positive business talk. In fact, we were named the most positive business talk show in America, nationally syndicated coast to coast from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. And in a 6-minute commercial break at the end of that program, we would shut down our computers, pack everything up, rush down the hallway, and host our second business talk, our second talk show, a Christian lifestyle show. So I was hosting 4 hours of business talk or talk radio every single day. And that puts me in the top 1% of my industry. And so when you're going to learn media exposure from somebody, that's a unique feature that I bring to the table. I was on the Insider for over 10 years, hosted my own show, hosted 2 shows, was a regular contributor on multiple other shows, hosted our own radio show, been a guest on multiple other radio shows, produced our own magazine, have been featured in magazines. I've published 11 books in this last year, I helped 49 authors get their books published and hit that #1 bestseller status. And so I bring that beautiful little trifecta, right? I was on the inside track, so I've done it, I learned it, and now I teach it. And so for 12 years, we've been teaching small business owners the secret, how to get more exposure, how to build your business from wherever you are. I would stand on stage and wear my little sleep mask, right, from stage and ask, how many people want to build your business from home, build it without ever getting out of bed in the morning? And it was mostly out of a time management hack, rather than getting in your car and commuting and driving and sitting in traffic and looking for a parking spot to exchange business cards one-to-one. The power of traditional media, you can impact an audience from the comfort of your own home. And now we teach that, of course, thanks to social distancing and the world shutting down. But during that time, while I'm teaching entrepreneurs how to get the bang for their buck for their radio advertising, we were also teaching them how to really leverage the power of media and become that influencer in the space. It has now launched into our Media Master course. We do a Media Mastery Bootcamp 3 times a year. It is the most comprehensive course on how to attract media. And I'm going to give you the top 3 tips while I'm here with you today. And we've had so much fun during this social distancing. And I know that's really weird to say, right? I've pretty much this chair is molded to my body. I feel like I just have been sitting in this chair nonstop pretty much for the last 4 months. I stopped counting after 38 events were canceled, right? Event after event after event after event. And after 38, I just stopped counting. But what we've also been able to do is really pivot and really take advantage of this time to connect, right? You have more access to anybody right now. I got to watch Brad Paisley do a concert, play the guitar in his kitchen. I got to watch an opera from the Metropolitan Opera House while sitting in my living room in my yoga pants, eating ice cream. I watched Hamilton. We've been connected with all of these coaches, all of these speakers, influencers right now who are not traveling, who are making themselves more available than they've ever been. Yes, these are unprecedented times. That's the bad news. But yes, these are unprecedented times. And that's the good news, because there are more millionaires being made right now. There are more innovators being creative right now. You're going to see so many brand new businesses that were built out of dining rooms and kitchens and basements and garages, I think, than ever before, because people are tinkering and they're being creative and they're learning and they're educating themselves. We have done the same thing. We have really tapped in and dialed in on what it takes to leverage media exposure. Our whole team has been working nonstop behind the scenes, getting some pretty rockin' results, using a lot of press releases, using speaking, using traditional publicity, publishing, all of that. So are you guys ready? I'm super excited to take you down this beautiful path. First, I want you to know that the world needs your story. What you do in your sleep is magic to others, right? It's keeping your clients up at night. They're waiting for you to step up and step out and to show the world your brilliance, your goodness. There are journalists every single day, and they are looking for fresh new guests. They're looking for human interest stories. They've got space to fill. They've got website content. They are seriously looking for your story. And people ask me, has it shifted during this time? And the answer is, it absolutely has. It has gone through the roof. Just this morning, I was with one of my clients. She started a program called the She Network, the She, S-H-E, the She Network. We just did a press release for her. We Googled her today. 2.8 billion results when you Google the She Network. And guess who shows up? It's #1 spot organically. The She Network. She's only been up and running for a few weeks now. That's the power of publicity. So how do we do this? #1, position you as an expert. How do we position you as an expert when it's noisy. It's a noisy world out there. Yes, we can all be on social media, and yes, everybody's there, but the good news is everybody's there, and the bad news is everybody's there. How do you separate yourself? How do you elevate above the noise? You position yourself as a content expert. So let me ask you, without any preparation at all, what could you speak on for about 30 minutes? You wouldn't have to research it. You wouldn't have to study. You wouldn't have to put all your slides. You could just talk for 30 minutes on something that you are an absolute expert on. Now, if that topic happens to serve your client's needs, then bingo, right? We can position you as that content expert, because you never know when a journalist is going to call and say, hey, can we interview you in half an hour? Had PBS American Portrait had sent me a text, sent a couple of my clients texts. We need you to fill out this interview. Can you be on camera in half an hour? If you are #alwaysmedia ready, you can say yes to those opportunities. And after today, I want you to say yes even more to as many opportunities as possible. So number one is to position yourself as that content expert. What do you speak on that is keeping your clients up at night? You are the guide to their jungle. What is it that they're Googling? How do I? Right? They're going out to the computer and the internet, right, to search for something that is keeping them up at night. And you are their answer. So if we start to type in, like, what is it that you are an expert on, and position you as that content expert, we can now put a story together. We can craft a story, a media pitch, a press release, a blog, a book, a program, a signature talk, an interview. The exposure possibilities really start to become endless when you focus in on one thing, right? Get laser focused and dominate that space. Bill Walsh says, follow one course until successful. So find that one thing that you are an expert on, that you could speak without any preparation, that attracts more leads and attracts that perfect client into your sales funnel. And then let's do a Google search, right? Let's find out, is the media looking for somebody to talk about for that topic? So if you think, well, I'm an expert in helping parents, right, navigate through this homeschooling, right? And you were to type that in, helping parents navigate homeschooling, and type in, so then there's this sub bar. So we all have the Google search, right? You type in what you are an expert in, but there's this little sub bar right below it. It says all, images, videos. There's one that says news. So when you go into Google, type in, right, whatever you're looking for, but type in what you are an expert in, what you speak on, and look up news. Click on the news. So you only are getting the search results from the news platforms, because that's who you want to speak to. You want to find out, is there an arena for me to speak on this topic with traditional media? Are they looking for guests as expert in this area? And we might have to do a little tweaking, right? Modify that search just a little bit, but it's kind of fun to play, because when you type it in, and I mean, we'll just play, right? I wasn't even thinking about this, but if I was to type in I'll just type in homeschool, right, into the news. So you guys can see this in real time. If I type in homeschool in the Google search and click on news, right, 10 channel news, 74 News, The Hill, The Week, CNB Central, News 10. Yeah, I mean, it's lots and lots of media outlets are covering that topic. Of course they are, right? It's trending. It's what's going on right now. And anytime we can come up with something that is trending in the news, then we can do what we call newsjacking. And that's just a fancy term to say we piggyback on what the news is already talking about and infuse our voice into the conversation. So number one, right, position yourself. What are you an expert on? And let's do some research and find out what media outlets are covering your topic, so we can pitch you and match you up and play matchmaker to getting you some media exposure and that publicity for your story. So the second piece that I want to really emphasize is a little different when it comes to media. One of the things, like if we're going to be a guest on somebody else's platform, on somebody else's stage, a radio show, a television, somebody else's podcast, this is not advertising. You're not selling anything because you haven't paid for the advertising. If you want to sell something, to sell a program, sell your course, to sell your event, to fill your event, if you want to sell something during your feature, you have to pay for advertising. That's how the media world works, right? We run on sponsors. That's what keeps us on the air. Look, I just had like, I was spinning. It's like that guy from Hamilton, the King George from Hamilton, right? So if we haven't paid for the advertising, we don't get to sell. If we want to sell something, we pay for advertising. That's the rules of the game. You can't call them up and say, hey, I want to film my event. I want to sell my stuff. Can I get some of that free advertising I heard Angel Tussey talk about? It doesn't work that way. If you want to sell something, they're going to sell you an advertising package. So we want to leverage these non-selling stages to BYL, to build your list. We're going to leverage the exposure, because exposure without a call to action is wasted exposure. We're going to use the exposure to build your list. But there's one thing that they will let you sell, even if it's not a selling stage, right? You haven't paid for advertising. It's not a selling stage. There's one thing that they will let you sell. And in fact, they'll encourage it. And if they know that you have this one item to sell, they'll invite you on as their guest. And if you haven't guessed it already, it's your book. Being a published author is the number one way to create marketing campaigns, to get invited to speak on stages, to get invited for free to be interviewed on radio, television, podcasts. Right? And it's the funny thing. It's the end around, because even if it's a non-selling stage, you can sell your book. They don't count this as selling, right? You're not a salesperson if you're an author, right? If you're selling anything, a widget, a gadget, a service, a product, a program, you're selling. But if you're selling a book, you're not a salesperson, you're an author. And it changes the game. It is a total game changer. Have you always wanted to write a book? Because that's what most people come to me and say, Angel, I've always wanted to write a book. I've had this book idea in me for years. And what I discover is that most of the time, the books that people have in mind is what I qualify as a heart book, right? It's a book of passion, love songs, poetry, maybe your breakthrough story, your family history. It's really your book of passion. And if you've got a heart book inside of you, I absolutely want you to write that. Get that out for therapeutic reasons. But in most cases, our heart book isn't a moneymaker. We're not going to build a business. We're not going to create a lot of cash flow or revenue from our heart book. The book I want you to publish, and we teach this very simple process for you to publish your book in 90 days. 90, 3 months, 12 weeks, 90 days, however you want to count it. You could be a published author in the next 3 months, 12 weeks, 90 days. And that is by publishing what we call your food book. It's the book that puts food on the table. It's a 100-page love letter to your clients. It's the stories that get your clients to fall in love with you. It's your sales process. It's your follow-up formula. It's how you get your prospects into your sales funnel. Has anybody ever wanted to just pick your brain, right? They didn't necessarily want to buy your product or service, or maybe they were a not yet. Well, they could buy your book, right? For $20, they can have all the brain picking that they want. And in the meantime, you are encouraging them, you're getting them to fall in love with you. Have you ever just wanted to tell them more stories or give them more information, more case studies? But of course, it's a 20-minute call or a 60-minute visit. You can put your book in their hand and let the book do all of the talking for you. So we teach how you can get your book published in 90 days or less. I'm not in the publishing business. All 11 of my books are self-published. And we have a program or a process called CPP, Copy, Paste, and Publish. Copy, paste, and publish. In most cases, my clients, when we go through this process, they already have about 60 pages of content sitting in their computers, not being monetized, not being published, right? Not being used in this formula. So we take your content, website content, frequently asked questions, blogs you've written, social media posts, anything that you've got probably sitting in your computer, we tap it into a formula so that we can get this 100-page love letter out in 90 days or less. And then this becomes a very dynamic sales tool. And it does two things. It attracts perfect stages and it attracts perfect clients, and you hit the jackpot. You are now an author. You are invited to speak and sell on speak on and be interviewed on radio, television, magazines, podcasting, and in most cases for free. You are positioned as the content expert. In fact, you've written the book on it. So this now starts to become our media pitch, right? You've already done the Google search to find the media outlets, right, who are looking for your topic. You are now an expert on that topic, so much so you are writing the book on it, and you can start to see how this all comes together. Are you starting to see that, how it fits together, how we don't just go and say, hey, here's some media emails, go and tell them you want to be on their show, right? We have to position you as that expert because there's a lot of competition out there. And so between you and everybody else, why you? And we start to put together these elements to attract your perfect stage that are also going to attract your perfect audience so that you can monetize your exposure. I mean, you can measure your exposure in the bank because we want to monetize this exposure. It's not just exposure for the sake of visibility. We really want to use it to attract perfect clients and get them into our sales funnel and monetize all that. I don't know if any of you remember the Chewbacca mom. Right? Years ago, Candace Payne went to Kohl's and bought this plastic Chewbacca mask that when you open the mouth, it had the laugh of the Chewbacca mom or the Chewbacca guy from Star Wars. And she was the very first Facebook Live video to go viral and hit 1 million views. First Facebook Live video went viral, hit 1 million views. She got invited to Facebook, morning shows, evening shows, all the shows. She got all this publicity, all of this exposure. But what she didn't have was a way to build her list. She didn't have any way to leverage that audience into leads for herself. When you've got a book, you've got now a sales funnel built in, right? When they go and buy your book, you can actually encourage people when you are being interviewed, go and buy my book, but you don't send them to Amazon to buy your book. You send them to your website where you can collect their contact information and then send them to Amazon to buy the book. So you're not in the book business. We're just leveraging the book to support you as that expert in the space. So number one, position as that content expert. Number two, publish your food book. And in 90 days from today, you could be a published author. So this is my 11th book. This is my 11th book, ABCs of Exposure. It walks you through step by step an alphabetical guide to leveraging and getting booked on stages, to positioning yourself, everything that you need to know in these great little alphabetical little phrases, right? Alphabetical little pieces. It just kind of like little nibbles of media and publicity, and you can get it on Amazon. You can get the ebook for $2.99. It's fabulous. But this was my 9th book. It was called Jumpstart for Business. And this is the book that started everything. It set the way for us to create the Media Mastery Bootcamp. This book, from start to published, we put this book together in 3 days using the CPP method. We're going to give you 90 days to put it all together. But just so you know, now, of course, I would never do a 3-day book as my first book. Like I said, it was my 9th. I've been featured in lots of other books, like not our first rodeo. So we're going to teach you everything. I'm hoping this is super helpful to you. I can't see any comments. I don't have my Facebook up. I turned it all off because I wanted this to be a clean stream, so I didn't have any technical glitches. So I'll come back in. If you've got any questions or anything for me, comments, you can put them in the comments below. And I promise after this, I will go in and respond to that. So the third piece, right, for attracting more leads, getting more people to say, I've heard of you, getting exposure, visibility, media publicity, those media logos. The third piece is the press release, right? You need to pitch. You need to put your story out into the world. So a couple of ways that we do that. One, we can connect directly with the journalists by sending them our press release. We can also distribute our press releases out to what we call the Associated Press. There are distribution services. We offer distribution services here in our office. But when you do that, you end up putting your story out in front of the media. A press release is the language of media. And maybe you've noticed, or if you haven't, you might now start to pay attention. This is how celebrities connect with the media, how big companies connect with the media. You'll hear them say, so-and-so company announced in a press release, celebrity announced in a press release. This is the language of media. A press release is an official document that you submit to your local TV, your local radio, your podcasters, your local media outlets, those online publications. And every single news station has right on their website a place that you can submit your press release directly to them. Why? Like I said in the beginning, they are looking for stories. They are looking for fresh new content. And so this is the language. This is how you get your story in front of them in this official press release document. So how do we put together a press release? Right? And what does that entail? And what does that look like? Most small businesses, when I ask, have never put out a press release ever. Ideally, I want you to be putting out a press release every single month, connecting with the media. And I know that you have newsworthy content. So let me ask you, what's new? What's new? Look in your calendar. Look back 2 weeks, right? Look ahead 2 weeks. What's new? What are you up to? I'll tell you what, I ask my clients this and they give me a litany, right? Angel, I spoke here. I aligned with this nonprofit. We created a course. I'm now a best-selling author. I'm now in a movie. I'm, sharing stages with, and they give me these long lists of things that they are doing. Every one of those items qualifies as a press release. It's a brand new headline. Think of this. My company did this. My company is doing this. So for example, Angel Tussey speaking on the Power Team stage, that qualifies as a press release. It's current events. It's not an article. It's not an infomercial. It's not an advertisement. It's not a blog. It is current news, right? It is a press release. It's current events. It's current news. But I want you to look. We actually sat down in our office and wrote out 16 templates for our clients to be able to use, because we can anticipate when you're growing your business, we can anticipate what those milestones are going to be. You're going to have a breakthrough, overcome a challenge, a milestone in your business, speak on an event, share a stage with, become a best-selling author, launch your course, right? Like over and over again, we have 16 of them that we identify, these 16 milestones that most small businesses go through during the course of any given year. But where do we share the event and the information? We share it we share it on social media. Right? You could put that out in a press release. So here's what a press release is. It's current events. It starts with a fabulous headline. Your business did this. Not sexy, right? It doesn't have to be all that clever and creative. It's a factual document. And in that first paragraph, we just want the facts, ma'am. The who, the what, the where, right? What is actually happening? So give us the facts in that press release. No muss, no fluff, no exclamation points, no fluffy language, right? It's the ultimate, it's the best, no, just the facts in a press release. This is an official document that is going to your news stations. But once they go out, and if they've got great keywords and their buzzwords and they're trending, you can start to see your exposure, your visibility take off immediately. And how about those media logos? Wouldn't you love to have your story on MarketWatch, on where were we at? I mean, just today, this is so funny. We were just doing this just today for one of the press releases that just came out. Well, oh my gosh. So look at this. Let's see if you guys can see that. So this is the She Network. Oh, nope, it's too fuzzy. Anyways, it's 2.8 million when you type in the She Network, and she is number one on the top from a press release. But let's see if you can see that. So we're just scrolling through. Actually, let me start at the beginning, because the beginning is where the major platforms are. Oh, goodness. There it goes. So you see Fox News, you see CBS, you see ABC, you see Fire TV, you see Apple TV. I think there's MarketWatch is in there. There's digital. What's that other one? Well, anyways, they're all there from one press release, Now, I don't want you to do one press release. It's putting out a press release every single month, creating that momentum and that consistency, because the more often you put your story out, the more likely a media outlet is going to pick up your story. A journalist is going to pick up your story. So we want to put out a press release every single month to create that momentum and the exposure, because what comes first? The exposure. For everything in business, right? You need the exposure. First comes the exposure, then the fans, and then the customers, right? Without fans and exposure, we end up on this hamster wheel, right? Busy but broke, talking to the same people we talked to last week, sending emails to the same people we sent to last week, posting out on social media to the same people that are already following us. This is the definition of insanity, and this is why the IRS claims that most small businesses fail. It's not because of anything you're doing wrong. You're not getting exposure. Exposure is the number one key, and it's available to you. It's available to all of us through the power of positioning you as that content expert, putting that media pitch together, finding out what the media outlets are covering, and aligning our subjects and our topics to match with what the media is looking for, and then write the book on it. Right? Publish that book in the next 90 days and get that book published and out into the world. I am an expert on. In fact, I wrote the book on it. And then the third piece is to submit those press releases on a regular basis. If you have any questions about a press release, like there's all sorts of articles out into the world on how to write a press release. You can see some samples. And there's definitely criteria on how to write a press release. Of course, we teach that in our Media Mastery Bootcamp. We also teach you how to get that book published in the next 90 days and how to really do the market research on what type of topics sell the most and are most appealing to the media outlets in the world. And right now, I just want to tell you, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the results that are happening for the people that are out there being those business first responders. They're out there making an impact. They're out there making a difference. We might be sitting still in our little chairs, but we are not sitting still as far as the world goes. These are very exciting times. And I know that they're also very scary times, but there's so much opportunity, because out of adversity comes opportunity. And when you have faith and you take action, the world will show up to support you, to guide you, and to create a miracle. How am I doing, Michael? Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah, it'd be good if I turn my mic on. But you have a little bit more time. But I wanted you to address one thing that I think, because what you're talking about is so critical right now, and it's not that it's simple, but it's easy. It's just they have to know the path, right? And they have to know how to work with you. The other thing that's happening, though, is people are really, there is fear. There's a lot of, and you've been through tons of courses and Rainmaker and everything else. Can you just talk about, from somebody who is been an entrepreneur for so long, how, and it's great because you have your show every morning, right? So you almost wake up into it, but how do you keep yourself on a daily basis moving forward and not letting certain types of media take you down the wrong spiral?
Oh, that is a great question, right? Because here I am talking about media, and yet if you watch the media and you're watching traditional news and you're getting sucked into even your social media feeds, it's very dark, it's very depressing. You find yourself getting confused, angry. Of course, like if I spend too much time in traditional media watching the news right now, I just want to curl up in a ball, right? I had such an emotional week, even last week. It can be very overwhelming in consuming with what's going on in the world. But Jim Rohn was right. You are a result of the people you listen to, the books you read, the tapes you listen to, the TV shows you watch, everything that you put in. You've heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out. My friend Scott says garbage in, garbage stays in. We have to be so cautious and so careful about who we are listening to. You get what you order, right? If you wake up in the morning and you're like, this stinks and it's not going to work and it's not going to fly and it's all bad, then that's going to be your truth, right? You get what you order. But if you surround yourself, and this is why Power Team is so valuable and so priceless for so many business owners right now, because when you look at the leadership that is Power Team, they're not sitting back, waiting, wondering, and worrying. They're out there as those business first responders who you are aligning with. So if you are not being elevated, you've really got to take a check. My girlfriend calls it, who's in your front row? Right? Who is in your front row that you are watching and paying attention to? Do you know that you have 100% control over what you listen to and what you watch and what you read? You have 100% control. You can turn off the news. You can change the funnel in your Facebook. You can pick up books that will inspire you, encourage you. Every leader out there has fallen 7 times, but got up 8. It's not a perfect little fabulous little journey. So yeah, I'm super cautious, Michael, about who I'm listening to and who I'm spending my time with. But yeah, I want the bright spot of media. I want you to be the bright spot in media interviews.
That's great, because it is, we have a tendency of sorting, and what you really bring out there is you bring these people foremost into what we sort for. And I think that's, part of the brilliance. And you also get their message out there in a way that I haven't seen before. And, it is your years of experience. It's amazing that you've had so many years of experience on radio and marketing and everything that you've done, and you're still in your 30s. So it's, for me too, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how I was on stage for 20 years and I'm still only 31, but it is that kind of thing that it's that great experience. It's that learning that we do every day. And it's taking it to the next level, because look at the panel I had on earlier. I had somebody who was Tony's VP for 18 years. I had one of the Hollywood's top producers whose show is now 9th year, picked up for 9 years already. And they didn't expect that early on, but it's the mindset and the power of who they could become, and realizing, and they all know, because in the businesses we're in, it's PR and marketing, right? It's what it's all about. So Angel, tell us again, just the easiest way to connect with you if our audience wants more, and we know they do.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope so. I've got an incredible guide that will kickstart your media exposure. It'll give you headlines, media outlets to connect with, press release ideas, 52 press release ideas. All you have to do is text the word ANGEL, ANGEL, to the number 26786. That's the word ANGEL to 26786. And for anybody who comes through this evening, you'll get a complimentary coaching call with me as well.
Awesome. You're amazing. Thank you so much. And by the way, audience, Angel jumped in tonight. She really, we are really here as a team, and one of our speakers was just not feeling well. And because she's been with us obviously before in hundreds of stages, but really jumped in and say, how could I be of service? And Angel, that's the type of people that we're going to work with. So for myself and Bill, thank you so much for jumping into this. You were awesome as usual. I can't wait till we actually see each other on some live venue, which we will. We've done a lot of virtual. And by the way, what's your morning show again? What's it called?
The Angel and Tina Morning Show. And when you Google the Angel and Tina Morning Show, you're going to find 1.5 million results show up for the Angel and Tina Morning Show. So it should be pretty easy to find us.
Oh, you're amazing. All right, Angel, you have an amazing rest of your day. To work with Angel now, she's ready now. Just text the word ANGEL to 26786. Text the word ANGEL to 26786. Angel, thank you so much for being on again. And you just have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, bye, Angel. Angel is amazing when it comes to those press releases and really getting your name out there. And you want to work with her now. There's a tendency of like, well, how do I need that? It's called part of your funnel. Remember, we talked about what comes into the funnel. Part of what comes into the funnel is called clients. And having clients come into the funnel is critical. It's like being in for those of us in the event business, it's basically saying we're going to have an event with 10,000 people and 3 people are there. Right? You need to have people come in the door, because that also attracts attention, and attracting attention helps your business get to the next level. And you definitely want to work with Angel. And she said she would coach you tonight, right now. So text the word ANGEL to 26786. And she's got this morning show that's just exploding. So I'm sure you could all get invited onto that too. All right. Text the word ANGEL to 26786. It's a day of learning so far. Who have we had on? we had the amazing Mary, who was Tony Robbins' executive vice president for 18 years. We had Steve Leon, who had ran AMC comedy at Paramount, is a producer, has the longest running show currently, Emmy award-winning show on Hallmark. They just got picked up for their 9th season. I know Steve a long time. And we had Dr. John Demartini really taking a look at the mindset, but telling you things you need to get done now. I mean, the great thing about John is you can think about it, but here's things you need to do right now. And he gave you a 6-step process and 7 other steps to really, take a look at and really learn from. And I think that's a critical piece. I talked about funnels and how to create the business system. And then we also had Angel looking at your press release and your PR and what that takes. Coming up, we're about to talk about a game. We're about to talk about a game and gamification, because gamification is a big part of your business. Then we're going to jump into a second VIP panel, which is going to just rock your world. And it's an amazing time. And I know somebody was actually just messaging the other day. They said, Michael, it sounds like you're still on stage. Okay. 15 years of being on, and I'm a baby. Look at Dr. Demartini. I realize this is still a stage, and it's not a stage that we're trying to shine our light to show who we are. We're here to solve your problems and to help you take your business to the next level. So you're darn right I build them up and I bring them out in a big way, because they're spending our time with us to mentor us. Because Dr. Demartini people selling you things is a good thing. You have to invest in your future to be where you're at. But Dr. Demartini, so far, everything's almost been all content, because you want to give people the content that they can learn from. You want to give them something, but you got to give them something that they can take away and use it now. That's a critical piece, right? You should just feel better. What does that mean? Give them the steps to get there. I want my business to make $1 million. Give them the steps to get there, and you'll get so much more from it. All right, here we go. We're talking games. We're talking, Catherine, we should have you flash it when I bring you up. But it's time for games. It's called House Guest from Hell. Now, this amazing Pritchett family developed this game, and it's just brilliant. We actually used it at a lot of our major events. We'd have a room for just the House Guest from Hell, and we'd have tables of business owners playing the game. And what we saw was not only did they realize that they've now networked with a whole group of new people, but that they solved problems and that they also created a new network within there. So it was brilliant the way it worked out, and they helped each other solve problems. So without any further ado, let's give a huge, big round of applause to Catherine Pritchett. Hello there.
Hello.
Can't hear you. Maybe it's me.
Oh.
There you go. Now you're on. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Perfect. Wonderful. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the inception of the game, and you're going to have to show us, of course, the game, and talk a little bit about what your family has learned so far and what you've seen for the events. There you go.
Sure. So House Guest from Hell came about through experiences we kind of had with bad house guests that kind of came through our home over the years. And we were kind of snowballing an idea of, oh, wow, this could actually be a game. Let's see what we can do with it. And so my background's in graphic design. And so me and my mom kind of worked the core of the building of the gameplay and the structure of it and stuff. And then did the artwork and the graphics. And then Peter and Elizabeth came in and really helped us polish the gameplay and make sure that it was smooth and working well. And yeah, lots of ums in there. But watching people play this game has been really amazing. It's been like a really good feedback for us. Because when people start playing the game, the smiles, it just kind of hooks and pulls them in, and they really laugh. And it's unexpected that they enjoy it as much as they do.
You know, the great thing that we saw too at the events is that it's that piece of, it's problem solving. right? The whole game is really built on a critical nature of, and problem solving even within a business structure is what they start to realize. It's not just about the game. It's about how can I solve problems? But you know what? It is a lot of fun. And you have people who don't know each other getting in there, playing the game. And sometimes they get pretty serious about playing the game. And sometimes, you know, they laugh and we had fun. And, you know, we just moved people through all day through the room because we obviously had other speakers and speakers going on. You know, but from your own understanding, can you just show us a little bit about the game, how it plays, and some of the potential learnings you get from that?
Absolutely. So first, I'm going to show you the board. We have a 6-panel board. Let's see if I can open it. And you have a house guest, and you have to, you have to travel on the board with your house guest. And so here is Rashid, is one of our guests. And so there's 3 places that are on his card. So he has to go to the Fish Wrangler Island, which is here. He has to go to the Swift Feet Ballet, which is down here in the desert. He has to go to the Redwood Music Festival, which is up here in the forest. So we have beautiful bright colors, and players get to move around the board in any direction. And so everyone's sort of like going different places, and it gets really fun. If you're having wine playing this game, it's a hoot. So going back to the guest, you get a guest, you have to travel 3 places with a pawn and dice. And then on each turn, you will be drawing dilemma cards, which we have 80 dilemmas. And so an example of a dilemma that you would have to solve is the loincloth nabber. Your favorite panties are disappearing. Someone is stealing them. So I used this dilemma because it kind of has 2 ways, or possibly 3 ways of fixing this. And this is part of what makes this game so intriguing, is some of these dilemmas are kind of open-ended. And so each group of people that play the game will have discussions about, well, do I have to buy panties, or do I have to stop him? And so there's kind of like, is it the chicken or the egg, right? And so it kind of is, we left it that way so that each group of people can have discussions and go about solving it. So on your turn, you'll draw dilemmas, and you'll also be drawing solution cards, which is what you will be using to fix your problem. So we have just some examples. We have a toilet plunger. We have a cardboard box, which it doesn't say what's in this box. This could be an empty box, or this could have something inside there. So it really kind of pushes your creativity to think about how you can use the solutions that you've drawn to fix your particular dilemma card. And so you kind of have to like think outside the box. I know that's cliche, but we have chocolate truffles, which you could use this to bribe your guests to stop doing like a bad behavior. And so we have like medical supplies, food items, things like that. So you never know what you're going to draw. Medical supplies. So.
You know, but that's part of the gameplay is you don't, you know, it's like with business. You can only plan to a certain point. Yes, you can plan out all the what ifs we call, but there are things that come up that you're not expecting, and it's how you deal with them from individuals, right? Different individuals and how they deal with each other.
Can I stop you there a sec? Can I finish?
Yeah,
I
please.
didn't finish explaining. So the most important. How am I going to fix it?
I lost you a little bit in the stream, so go ahead. Just keep going. I'm going to leave myself on.
Okay. Your guest has fainted from dehydration. So you could say, I have a medical supply kit, and inside this is something, you have to be specific what it is in there that's going to help. And then the other players are going to vote. So it teaches you to be persuasive, work on your communication skills, and listen. You have to listen to everybody else's pitch.
Okay, good. You know, it's the kind of thing. Now you've seen the game played over and over and over. Obviously, we've been in many different events when you've seen it played. What are some of the best learnings that you've seen from all? And you've seen this game played a lot. We've done it at our big events. Our I just blanked on the name, and that funny. But what have you seen that has been some of the funniest stuff you've seen, the best learnings you've seen, just because you've seen it all? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the one of the funniest situations that one of the funniest, the one with the panties where they're disappearing. We played this game with some board game geeks that were like a board game cafe. So they were avid board game players. They had a library of like 500 board games. They played all of them. They were experts on games, and we had them test play this board game, right? And they nerded out on it, and they were having the biggest argument. It wasn't really like vicious. It was a fun, like tickle your brain type of argument. Like, well, they're panties. They're already gone. You can't fix it if they're already gone. And so it was just so hilarious to watch these guys have discussions about, the wording on the card. And it was, we put panties on there, not underpants. And so it was just so funny. Another dilemma card that was really funny was your guest farts excessively and they smell terrible. Well, the guy had a vacuum, and so he was the most persuasive sales pitch I have ever heard, like across the board. He said that this vacuum had spa quality lavender and scented air, and it would go suck up the fart. And the rest of the players voted yes for that because the way he presented it was so ingenious and so crazy, but it was awesome. So it was just really fun to see the interaction between the different players. And you really get to see the way that other people think in their mind. And so some people, you think maybe you underestimate the ability of, like, they have hidden talents. And so when they play this game, that kind of comes to the surface. Like, they're really good at solving things, and you would never know that.
That's an interesting what you just said too from a business perspective. So everybody know the game is fun, right? And families and people should get together, and it's a blast. It's a hoot. But from a business perspective, because we have played it, as a team, and our team members have played it, we have seen things that I realized I didn't even realize you could problem solve in that particular way. And I think from a team perspective, it made us even a stronger, better team. But from the family perspective, because you've played it as a family and your family have you seen that same thing? Learning things about your family members that maybe you did not know.
Absolutely. So with the family aspect, you get to, I think when you first play it, you're a little bit like not as, you're not hardcore with wanting people to like describe it and be specific about scenarios. And so like the more that my family has played, we're really like, you have to be really specific, and if you don't sell it properly, we're going to vote you down. So it really kind of raises the bar in how you articulate your dilemma and the solution for that. With the team building, we found that I actually think that when you play as a team, you enjoy the game more because you have to collaborate with the other player. And so you have one pawn, and it's two people working together to move that pawn. You collect your dilemmas, you collect your solutions. When you solve a dilemma and it gets approved, you discard it. So when they're working together, you have all of these like, oh, what do you think? What should we do with this? And it's so cute to see. You can have a bunch of people that don't know each other, and by the time they finish playing this game, they're actually really good friends. And so it really is an amazing icebreaker for like, just random people or your friends and families.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a great game. It's been a great game for our company. I know other companies that are using it. It's great for your family. You're at home right now. A lot of people are home more than they expected to be. Now we've just had, I know in my area, a lot of the schools are actually saying, we just got it today, that they're actually not going to start. They're going to stay online through the beginning of for fall. And then they'll see in the first couple of months what it looks like. So it's time to have fun, because it's time to have, not only do you have the business relationships you create with the game, but your family can have fun. You can have fun together, and you can learn something together. You can learn about each other. So for those of you right now, you want to get that game now. Just go to houseguestfromhell.com. The game is right now at I don't want to say COVID because everybody says that. It's half price right now. So there you go, show it up. So get the game right now. Make sure that you order it. Order for yourself, family members. Bill has them, we have them. Everybody's ordered one and had a great time. The cards are amazing. The gameplay is amazing. You do learn a lot about those around you. And Catherine, thank you so much for being on tonight. There, she's showing you some of the cards. It's great.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
No, it always is. You were great as usual. Thank you. Thank you. Say hi to that beautiful family of yours. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
It is a great game. Again, gamification is big within any industry, and we've put people on stages that teach about gamification and really how do you create that next level. And this is a game that was created from a family dynamic that needed to do something almost as a release, and now it's being used in businesses. It's being used at events. We use it at all our events. It's great. We actually, so everybody out there who runs events, we create a whole room where it's like a break room, but you can have the business people, because sometimes you know how networking goes. It's either spray and pray, and that's what Bill always says. You know, or it's the kind of very simple piece of, you know, are we going to really get to know each other and network? And the one thing that the game does is the game brings that networking into your realm really quickly. It builds the relationships really quickly. So if you have an event or you're running when you run live events, or if you have a family gathering, you know, we know all the rules and how we need to put your mask on. This is a great game. Play it with your family. Play it with your church group. Play it with, you know, you can have 3, 4, 5 people. Right now we're at 5 people. But it will develop, boy, the words aren't coming tonight. It will develop a better relationship for you to work out neurologically what is around you, how to work that out, and just laugh and have a lot of fun. So we're just gonna have a comedian on. You know, that's a great thing too. I'll start cracking jokes, but you'd all leave. All right, now we're about to move into our next VIP panel. And what I believe with the panelists is, first of all, they're well versed because they know. I've told them a little bit about what they need to do. Answers short. We have a little bit more time, so we're going to roll this with a conversation. I have some questions to start with. And I always, with panels like keynote speakers, we'll do the big build-up, right? And when you bring them on, you know, here's who they are, get the audience ready, especially if you're in a speak to sell world, because you basically have sold their product before they even walked on the stage. But you build them up, you get them going, you get them moving, you get them excited, you get the audience up, get the energy. Everybody, get all your friends on, share this in, you know, your Facebook. Make sure that you do a watch party. I did a watch party on Twitch. It's hosting a channel. And you want to build the audience up so the energy, when they're heightened their state, they're in a better learning position. So with a VIP panel, I'm not going to introduce them individually. I let them what's called earn the right. I let them come on, and I'm going to tell you their names. And then they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves, and usually just a minute and a half, because if you do a 25-minute introduction, nobody's going to listen. They're done with you. If you look at promo videos, they're usually anywhere from 30 seconds to 60 seconds, you know, maybe 90 seconds, just depending on the audience. But the audience, what the audience is thinking is, what's in it for me? Oh, okay, she says she does that. He says they do that. And then they just want to know what's in it for them. And you know that. So we address that right away, which we make it all about you and for the content. So without any further ado, let's give a big round of applause for Erin Sexton and Gail Kingsbury. Hello, you two.
Hey, how are you? Hey, everyone. Hey, Gail.
Really,
how are you?
really good.
How are you?
We've had too much fun. Oh, you two, stop that. Okay, so you know, it's been a great day because we've had a lot of information. It was funny because actually, when Dr. Demartini started, he started very clinical. You know, like the first, and then all of a sudden, he just. It's like he went on stage and now he wants to change the world, and the fire just went on. It was really awesome to see. You know, both of you, with what you've done in your lives and the experiences and the people you've worked at and the change in people's lives you've had them make. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself. So as we move through the panel and ask the questions, they have a little grounding in who you are. And Gail, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, well, my name's Gail Kingsbury, and for the last little over 30 years, I've been in the personal professional development world.
And I've been really fortunate because I've had the opportunity. I started working with Brian Tracy, then Tony Robbins. T. Harv Eker created the launch for his book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, did all of the event coordination and course development with Harv for those, had one of the largest speakers bureaus in the country for many years. My company helped create the Success Tour. Now I think it's called Get Motivated. They're the big one-day events, and we did that out of my little office in Del Mar, California, filling stadiums. And so for me, I love the fact that I get to play this little piece in making a bigger difference in people's lives, and putting the right people in front of the right stages and the right audiences together is what, charges me up every day. That's what makes me happy. So
I love it. And it does make a difference. It's amazing how much of a difference you have made because of all the different speakers you worked with. It's not been focused on you at all. It's been all about them.
It's always about everybody else. Yeah.
Yep. And that's fantastic. Erin, go ahead.
Hey, so thanks for having me. And Cheryl, I know you're watching. I know her for a long time ago. I'm a multi-Emmy nominated TV producer. I worked at The View and Barbara Walters and Rosie and Good Morning America. Barbara Walters was my mentor. For whatever crazy reason, I thought I should get out of TV and become a PR and marketing person. Said no one ever since me, by the way. No, right, Gail? I mean, who says that? Who says that?
I'm thinking, what?
I know, it's crazy. I think my movie premiere, my red carpet, everything was gone. Then no one took my calls. No. I had a lot of fun, though. I ended up owning and running a bunch of different agencies. I represented Jack Canfield, Lisa Nichols. We have similar names, Gail and I, in common, but we don't do anything similar. In fact, this is fun because this is the first time that we've talked before, but this is the first panel we've ever been on. And I remember Bernie Dorman, and he just passed at CEO Space, and that's how I know Cheryl Brenner. But he would always say, if you and Gail could get together. And so Bill and Michael, you now did what Bernie always wanted to do. So you got us together. What you all need to know, we're here to help.
Oh, I love it. And that's great. And you are right. There's a really funny story. First of all, when things are synergistic, they're meant to be. Mm-hmm. Secondly, sometimes there is that move about out of the thing that we did do into this thing that we're going to do because there's a love behind it. But sometimes the lights do turn off for a while. Sometimes the phones don't ring the same way. It's a different, right? There's a different perspective, or we come at it differently. But if you love what you do, it doesn't stop you. If you love what you do, you realize, well, it's not about me. It's about all the others. And we've all gone through that, right? We all walk into a stage, whatever our stage was. There's all those people. And we know that moment that it just feels amazing, whatever that is. And then there's suddenly the second realization, it's not about me. It's actually the last time I ever got nervous on stage it was in Singapore. And I just walked out, and it was actually Harv sort of thrust me out because he needed to go get a call. And I realized it's not about me. And that was it. I was never nervous again. And it's a big shift we make when we realize what they're going through. So there are those things in our life that get us to where we are. It's either a book we read. Now it's different because we talked about that earlier with the earlier panel. And I had a panel a couple weeks ago where they were all about the YouTubes and the podcasts that they're listening to. And I podcast. I love podcasting. That really helps us either it created part of our foundation of who we are, or it gets us to up every morning where we're going. What is either a great book or a podcast or a YouTube that helps you either get going every day or help you create who you are today? And Erin, I'll let you take that.
Well, I change a lot. So right now I'm really focused. You caught me at a life-changing moment here, Michael. I'm reading The Disease to Please, and I'm doing some work with Jack Canfield, and I'm doing a program with him, but not as his rep, just as like a not so normal human. And I'm reading The One. So I'm a host of an online TV show podcast, but I don't binge on podcasts a lot. If I need to escape, then I'm Netflix binging like a Schitt's Creek or something, or Blacklist, like, right? Like, I go
Right.
so far out of my realm. Like, people are like, "Whoa, do you love Scandal?" I'm like, "No, I don't love Scandal. That's my day. Like, why would we do Scandal at night and with other characters and not make the money?" So, so I'm really trying to like little slices of onions, trying to figure out, like, I'm meditating more. I'm reading little parts of books at the same time. Just trying to chip away at me. That's what I do today.
Yeah, but that's great because we're all ever changing, right? And it's one of those things. And boy, we could just talk Netflix all day long,
Right.
and look at forget that. Look at Zoom's market cap. Forget the rest. But you take a look at those are the things that do create who we are. And because I realized, as I'm doing this, and every night, I said to a friend of mine, I'm going to bed with Kelsey Grammer every night because I'm in this Frasier right now, right? And on one of the podcasts I did years ago, which there was that suddenly realization, wait, Ken Levine was on my podcast. He was one of Frasier's writers, right? And then, if this is a small world kind of thing, the gentleman I had on today, Steve Leon, who ran all the AMC and everything, he's best friends. They watch TV, they watch baseball games together. So this is the synergy of, you never know who you're going to meet or who you're going to know is going to know somebody else. But there is that mindset piece. I'm a grandparent. I tell stories, but there is that mindset that we get into that, for me, whatever it is, there is something about Frasier right now that I wake, it's like puts me to sleep. It gets me in that frame. And the next morning I feel great, ready to go. Whatever that is, find the thing that it is for you. You're right. I'm not reading a book right now at night. I am using this medium. And Steve talked about that earlier, that TV is not this negative thing. There's so much out there now that is truly amazing and mind changing. And you find that you have to sort though. You have to sort for what that is. And that's the biggest thing. Gail, go ahead.
Well, I'm reading Jim Quick's new book, Limitless. And it's the first one that in our business, I get piles. They come with books and they take my course, and I want to go and watch The Flash and just completely decompress, dig into a little Supernatural. I'm like, did I really see all of season 14? I'm not sure. I'm going to go back and watch, make sure I didn't miss something, and completely check out, but Jim's new book just came, and been waiting for it for a really long time, and getting back into enjoying being home. The crazy thing is that I'm busier now home, not on a plane. And it's taken all these months for me to be able to, okay, I can get into my second suitcase and unpack it. It's okay. I don't have to be packed. I don't have to be ready. And I'm just learning a lot about, like you said, Aaron, about getting back to Gail. A funny story about Harv. I'm rarely am I on stage, but Harv used to bring me up just to see if he could make me cry, because I know he was going to bring me up to say thank you. That's all, and my hands would start sweating, and but my whole life is putting everybody else out there, and so taking the time right now is really what's helping move everything else in my life forward, business-wise, with our membership. I've got people calling daily to book people on virtual events now. It's been pretty crazy and incredible times.
You made a good point there that I think is really interesting. Is this, and Dr. DeMartini talked a little bit about it too, but this is a world at the moment, not for all of us. First responders, essential workers are working harder than they ever have. But for those of us in this event world where there was so much travel and so much, being out there, it has really given us time to think about ourselves. It has given us time to think of how can I make even better the world where it's going to be.
Right.
And it's been an interesting time. So you could go two ways, right? You could get a little depressed that things aren't the way or how can I truly make a difference? It was back in March. Bill and I were about to do a Rainmaker. We're both in Miami. And the hotel we were in went from 90% occupancy to 18% overnight. And Bill called me, said, we're at 6 a.m., right? Come, we're having breakfast. So I ran down. I said, what's up? He's like, we're going virtual immediately. And in what was it, 10 days, we ran that 12-hour summit. And that was just he saw it right away. He knew it was coming anyways, because there was a little programming up to it. But within 10 days, we had completely shifted. We could have either shut the doors at that point, said, we'll come back when everything comes back. We could have, there's a lot of things we could have done. We could have got the press, look at all our events. You know, we were doing 300 events a year, and we just completely shifted. And that's what that's the difference, I think, by having especially those leaders and mentors around us that also keep us on track. And you guys have done amazing. You know, the greatest thing too, and what we always get told, you know, or actually right now, students are asking this: what are 3 things I can do right now to keep moving? What are 3 things that I could use right now to keep myself either mindset for my business, you know, whatever that is? What can I do right now? Erin, you want to take that one?
You know, I'm trying to network every day with somebody new. And sometimes I get really shy. I'm laughing because people think it's funny. I'm this outwardly extrovert, introvert kind of thing. And I have to force myself to network and say hi. So before the pandemic, I was really starting to build up my speaking. You know, finally, Gail, I want to be on stage, like many people tuning in, right? I don't get nervous, or if I do get nervous, and I finally just forced myself to say, you know what? No, I do want to be on stage. Because being a TV producer, I always felt that the people that would show up and say, oh, I'm going to be an anchor, and, you know, and I'm so great on camera. Like all the producers, we roll their eyes at you. We make fun of that. Like, so we think like, oh my gosh. So to want to be that person, but by now I'm 50. So I thought, you know what, darn it, I have things to say. You know, I trip upstairs, I'm a single mom, I spray tan, and I get lines because I pull the neck down. Like I'm a dork, and I think I can make people laugh. And I feel like there's some messages here that we could all learn. No one's going to be crying in my audience, but gosh, I'm going to do it. So, and then boom, pandemic, masks and stuff like that. But so what I'm still trying to do is, so I'm getting back to this, is I make a list of 5 people I know I want to network with, and not just like a lame, you know, like Gail, I saw we were on the panel, and I sent you a friend request on Facebook. So when I get nervous,
I'll go get that. So pick me.
I get nervous. Like, oh, I hope she says yes. Like, what is wrong with me? Right? But at least I did it. It's so, I mean, I'm a therapist's dream, right? And so, but I'll go on LinkedIn and I'll try to like not be like a stalker, but really try to network. And so for me, I realized that I like to sabotage myself. I make people famous in the media, but I love to sabotage myself. So I realized through all my many books that I'm reading that this is what I'm doing. And so I'm not doing that anymore, because we're all doing that somehow. And I'm making a list going, no, Eric, 5 people. Go make friends with 5. I sound like my mother. Get outside and make friends with 5 people. They're probably going to like you. If not, and then I'm like, oh, if not, you know. So that's really what I'm trying to do. But the hardest thing is figuring out what's blocking you, is my big advice here. My big Erin aha takeaway is what are you blocking from yourself? And so for me, it was actually being vulnerable.
You know, it's so true, because, you know, being a producer is you're on that other side, right? And in a way, you're taking care of everybody who's there. Plus, there's this media audience that's watching everything that comes from that stream. And it's, I don't know, let me tell you, that's a lot more stressful to me than walking on the stage. So, you know, because there's so many pieces that you're running. You look at some of the newsrooms and I'm like, I don't know how they do this. I don't get it. But we all do that. We all have that self-sabotage part, no matter how long we've done this, no matter how much personal development, right? And Gail, and let's no names or whatever, but all the big speakers have their own insecurities, have their own, a lot of them are introverts, which is really interesting.
I would say.
You're right. Yeah. And it's not what you expect, especially on the back end, and you're sitting in a green room and there's literally no conversation happening because they're saving the energy for that next piece, whatever they need to do. So Erin, it's very common, and you'll be great. You're so expressive. You'll be great on stage because you'll also know it's never about you. It's all about them. But the first big times you do it, make it all about you. It's okay. You can suck it in and then go from there. So I don't even remember. So Gail, the same thing. What are like 3 things people can use right now with what's going on in the world?
Well, I think I had an interesting conversation with someone this morning who, they're out there all the time and they've got these big groups, they're doing all this cool stuff. And he explained to me that, right now with everything that's going on, he's constantly in this place of fear. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And his brother is a teacher and teaches film at UCLA. And so now how's that ever going to happen? Like, now they're not going to be in school. And so, the college is going to fold because all of these things. And I stopped, and it was like the automatic thing out of my mouth was, what an incredible opportunity for these kids, for your brother to teach these kids how to make movies now in this situation, how to do this virtually, how to create the things that they need to create. What an incredible opportunity. And he's looking at me on Zoom going, what? And I think, I don't always think that way, but I do my best. And it's an entrepreneurial mindset, right? We as entrepreneurs, we find a problem, we fix the problem, right? That's what we do. Right. And for speakers, speaking to the people who are my biggest audience, if you're a speaker, a trainer, an author, then find the opportunities because they are out there. Look at Tony Robbins last weekend had 22,000 people go through his UPW, his Unlimited Power Weekend, biggest one in history, and they weren't together. They actually mailed out a piece of balsa wood to every attendee so that they could do a breakthrough because there wasn't going to be a firewalk.
Awesome.
Brilliant. And
powerful. And
everybody still paid to go there and have an Unlimited Power Weekend. They're doing this and they're jumping around and they're doing wall claps in their living room. And the neighbors probably think that they're totally insane. It worked. So what is it that you do that you can do a little bit differently now and make it work? People are creating entire new industries and reinventing. The situation sucks, but it's such an incredible time. And I think that you need to write down something every morning, like what's something new that I can create that's going to make a difference in somebody else's life. And maybe it's a new jelly bean. Who knows what it is? But if you think it, Bernie is a great example. You can do anything. You can create anything. You can get it funded. You can go here, you can go there. And suddenly you've got $75 million coming in the bank tomorrow, according to Bernie. But that stuff happens. And I think right now, stop thinking about all the bullshit.
Right.
Because there's way too much of it. And what we focus on expands. We all know it. That's a very true statement. If, whatever you get a green car, suddenly everybody else has a green car.
Exactly.
You're pregnant, everybody's pregnant.
Right.
So you're hateful, you just see more of it. So let's just, I think in our business, in our lives, come from a place of gratitude, kindness, and opportunity. There hasn't been this.
I'd love to piggyback on that too, because as far as helping people who are watching, and if you're overwhelmed because you don't know how your business is going to go, a lot of times what makes everybody famous or bring more customers isn't that big grandiose bird's eye picture. It's this little shift, a little pivot, a sliver of your company, but it's that topic that either is a great speech or a great course or a great book to start writing. And
Exactly.
not everybody, I'm the first one to say it. I mean, I'm kind of the black sheep in the PR world sometimes. Like, I don't really need anybody to write a book, but I do need them to create content. So if you don't want to write, don't write. I don't care. Do you guys care? No, we don't. I don't think anyone cares, but I do need you to then be on video talking about it, or get somebody to type it and post it in little prompts, or, but keep a paper trail of it. Because one day you aggregate it all, send it out to one of the many publishers we know that won't charge us a lot of money. And suddenly all your posts are aggregated, and that's a book. And that counts. And, so people are just getting overwhelmed by the enormity of what they should do, because if they're going to need to do a big drastic change to survive in this economy. Honestly, pandemic or not, I love then just looking at it like an onion. Just peel your company, peel your brand, and just go one little layer at a time. I happen to love onions, but the strongest core of your onion is going to be the core of your business. That's pungent, that's strong, that's where Tony's main stuff, right? I produced Tony a bunch of times on The View. Like, I love Tony. But then as you further out, the onion becomes a little less potent, but there's a million people that want that on their salads. And now you have all those customers, and so I just don't go so crazy with having to reinvent or survive in all of it. Try to just create little layers and see if you can get that done that day, or promote that part of it. Maybe you get new clients and customers.
Yeah, and I think that's a big piece.
Yeah.
It's the small chunks. It's the small rocks. I mean, I could do all the speakers we've ever worked with, all the different terms, but, chunk it down. You look at it from the perspective of, here's the big picture, right? I know my why is so locked in that it's so strong that I'm not going to fall off my path. But then what are the things that you need to do to get there? And I think that's the piece that there's that tendency. I just want to be there. And we lose the perspective, or something happens and knocks us right off. So I love what you said. And I think it's really true nowadays. We actually don't know the next 6 months to a year. But you know what? We never know the next 6 months to a year, if you think of it.
Well, you never know what's really going to happen, right?
No, right. You don't. You can walk out today and there's that bus that has your name on it. Yeah. So, so are you going to live life differently because, right. I mean, seriously. Especially, right, for those of us born and raised in America, we go to London and we know what the streets are like, and we don't look the one way, and that could be the time. So it's the kind of thing that also I find, as you're moving forward, you have these bumps in your road, how critical it is to have mentors in your life. And people have a tendency, if they never want to pay for it. I'm like, okay, stop. If you're going to even work, first of all, you're going to always invest in yourself. I've always said 3 coaches, 2 mentors, and a mastermind. I think that's a critical piece in any business. But can you talk a little bit about mentors in your life and how that's helped you get you through whatever it is you need to get through? We don't have enough time to go into masterminds today, even though that's my love. That's what I've built for 10 years. But mentors in your life, and how important it is to have mentors in your life, whether they're currently in your business, understand your business, or maybe it's even a lifestyle that you want. Gail, go ahead.
So when I first decided that I was going to go into the speaker bureau business, I read a book called Speak and Grow Rich by Dottie Walters. And so I called, picked up the phone, the dial phone, and called her and said, what would it take for you to mentor me and help me with this business I'm starting? She said, $500, mail me a check. After it clears, call me, and you can come spend a day with me. And that's exactly what I did. It was a huge chunk, 30 years ago, $500. I was like, oh, everything, do I really want to do this? I went up, I spent the day with her at her office. She mentored me through basically the rest of my career. And now I've taken over that brand. She passed away quite a few years ago. And so I've taken over the brand and rewritten the book and taking that timeless wisdom back out there. And then Bernie, from IBI, and we wouldn't be here probably having this conversation in this moment if he wasn't maybe orchestrating. And the fact that Cheryl called so quickly and here we are, it's kind of cool how those things work. And always having that cheerleader, that person that you can call. One of the worst things that happened to me in business the first person I called was Bernie. What do I do? And he said, you sit there and you wait. And the next call he made was to an attorney, and everything got taken care of. And that the power of knowing that you have that mentor, somebody who can help guide you and be there when you need the help for the questions you don't have, or just to reaffirm that you're moving in the right direction. Those have been two of the, you know, there's a lot along the way, but in this moment in time, those are the two that are coming to mind.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's great. Erin?
So for me, for this chat, I will definitely say Barbara Walters. Not always the nicest person, right? Tough, but that's what you needed to be. And once you learned her history, she had to be that way. And you know, she could smell fear a mile away on you. And yet you would think that if she thought you were nervous, she would be more maternal. Opposite. The more nervous you were, the tougher she was on you. Extraordinary lesson, because I thought, oh my gosh, you need to be anybody, not just me, grace under fire. And then don't let them see you sweat, because honestly, you didn't want Barbara turning up the heat. It was already, you know, and Barbara and I worked together for her production company. So I was 20, I'm 50 now. I was 21 years old with Barbara. Then years later, she started The View and I went back to work for her. So Barbara and I'm the same age as her daughter, Jackie, and stuff. So that was the first one. Like, okay, whoa. You know, not every woman is going to bring you in and give you a hug, but that doesn't mean they don't love you. That they love you just as much, but they have other lessons. The second mentor, and he's passed away a few years ago, was my grandfather. And he passed away at 98 years old. And he truly was my mentor. Truck driver in high school, then got a mailroom job, was in the building that used to be the building before they knocked it down to make the World Trade Center the trade centers. And so this rich history, and then grew up in the same company who does this, right? Stays in the same company, eventually becomes chairman of the board. Like, I still have chills, right?
Wow.
And amazing man, amazing sense of humor. And we would go out for margaritas and we would just sit, and he didn't know much about TV, but he knew structure, business, and human dynamic. And he's like, let me tell you something, right? And he would just school me. And so those are, I just smile when I think of those moments. That meant a lot to me with both of them.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's a lot of people in our life that has shaped who we are. And I think for anybody out there, you know, it's respect who they are, you know, and when you want somebody to work with you, don't attack them. You know,
right.
I always come from that position of how can I help you? How can I be of assistance? You know, and build the relationship and find the mentors that work well for you. Be willing to invest in your future, because some of them you will be doing that. I think that's a critical piece. And we never know the people in our life who made us who we are. There's a lot of them, right? I could do the same thing. My grandfather, right? There's people I could pick out there. And then sometimes it's the ones who really did push me to that next level, who thrust me out there. Because I was also like both of you, I always sort of sat in the back. You know, I was like the director of coaching, and nobody knows who, right? And then all of a sudden they said, "Well, you got a great voice. Why don't you do all the webinars and all the stuff for us in Australia when we were with Chris?" And I'm like, okay, fine. And all of a sudden, you know, and then I'm doing that, and then I did the same thing right for Harv, and they're like, "Well, if you're doing that, why don't you train all the coaches every single week? And why don't you talk to the speakers?" And then blah, blah. But it's that kind of thing where I had to get over that own fear of myself. And it's the mentors really propelling me forward. Not something I ever thought I wanted to do, not really had an interest in. But sometimes you find that and then you realize, wow, this is my God-given gift. There is something. God gave me this voice maybe for a reason. Maybe there is a reason that I do this. You don't want me writing your copy, I can tell you right now. But there are those things that we do really exceptionally well. And that's the reason I think that we're here. So you two have been brilliant today. Thank you so much for this. I'm going to give you another minute. Just any last parting words, anything this audience should walk away from, and then I'm going to tell the audience how to connect with both of you.
You want to go
ahead, Erin?
Okay. I really just want everyone to believe in themselves as I'm believing in myself, and network, and just go for it. Get your brand, do what you want to do. That doesn't mean you have to quit the day job or the steady. It's okay if your family all thinks you're crazy. Just work on it. I stopped listening to people as much. I stopped caring or getting in all their opinions. I'm not the sorter of data anymore with that. And I'm just always follow my gut feeling. And if it feels right, you do it. And the minute it doesn't, stop. That's it. So, but just keep going, to keep taking that step forward, no matter what's going on out there. Definitely work on yourself and your brand first, because you guys deserve it.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
I think I'm going to have to just kind of dovetail right to what you're saying. And I think one of the most important things for everybody who wants to be a speaker, they're creating something new, is keep taking those steps. One step at a time is going to get you farther than you could ever imagine. And right now, while we have the time and you have some space, focusing on that, even if it's, you've got your day job and all you're going to do is focus on it for 30 minutes a day, right? I mean, all my kids are starting businesses, right? A photography business, a modeling business, all kinds of stuff. And it's like, okay, but when you get home, we're going to just take this 30 minutes, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So just focus is the biggest thing I could say.
I love it. And I want to say to the audience, the great thing about the focus every day is you get more done in less time. And you actually have more time for yourself. And the other thing too, just for everybody to know, and I know we hear this all the time, is podcasting. Okay. It's easy. It's simple. It's inexpensive. Everybody's doing it, but no, they're not. Because if you look at the statistics on podcasting, it's a wild, wild west. We're sponsored. We work a lot now with iHeartMedia. We just had the senior vice president on just a couple weeks ago, and I'm in that world. The great thing about podcasters is they'll all work together. They like each other. They'll get on each other's shows, and they realize that this is something that hasn't even seen its infancy yet. So if you've got nothing else to do and you're sitting at home right now, start thinking about a podcasting, and stop being I have nothing to say, because most shows now are actually not scripted. Because people now want to just see who are you, and most shows are just you sitting around at like a coffee table. If you look, I talked about this earlier. The first podcast that made money was two women, I think it was 2005, sitting around a table talking about diapers, and the diaper industry said, "Whoa, we have something here," and they gave them $100,000. And that was one of the first sponsored shows. So it's the kind of thing that you never know what's going to be created. Does that make sense? You never know. What message you have that's going to relate to somebody else, and just get it done. And it's been awesome to have both of you on. For myself, Power Team, and Bill Walsh, and of course Cheryl Brenner, who knows both of you.
Cheryl, go Cheryl.
Yeah, go Cheryl. Again, somebody in the background, right? Cheryl, brilliant, knows everybody on the planet and stays in the background because it's never about Cheryl. And that's why I love her so much. I see her head popping up down there. And it makes, hold on one second. Cheryl, you're going to hate me for this. But Cheryl makes a difference. Yeah, I brought you on.
Okay, I'm moving.
We know you're good, Cheryl. I just wanted to say I love you and thank you for these great panelists. You're amazing.
Thank you so much for Cheryl for making this happen today.
Yeah, this was fun, Cheryl. But you're muted.
You muted yourself. Cheryl. Cheryl, you muted yourself.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. These two ladies are so magnificent and so well connected. And anyone that's on tonight, make sure you reach out to them, because I've been with them for years. I know they look young, but I look younger. and it's probably because I am. No, maybe not. But I'm just saying, really and truly, they are so connected around the world. And when you have people like that, I remember years ago going to a party in Texas, and Barbara Walters rang the dinner bell for Mercedes-Benz Kellogg. And Sid Kellogg, not Kellogg, but Bass, Sid Bass, their wedding party. And I remember when I met Erin, she said, Barbara Walters is my mentor. And I was like, oh my God, I got to meet her like this, at this thing, which was, they actually had people in the trees, because this is Texas, but in the trees with shotguns and everything. You know, this is way back because that's like 20, that's 35 years ago. That was their security, you know. But there was Barbara Walters, there was Bill Blass. They had flown in all these people from all over the country for this party. So these two gals are very well connected. So reach out to them, let them coach you. I love them both dearly. I've known them forever. And so if you don't take that opportunity, then all you're doing is staying stale in the coronavirus. That's all I can say.
I love it. Thank you, Cheryl. And enjoy
Thank
your
you.
You're welcome.
Cheryl.
All right, you two. I just had to bring her on. She'll be texting me like, "What are you doing?" Thank you both. Thank you both for being on. For myself, Bill, and Power Team, and you're just amazing. To reach out to Gail and Aaron, and they're really there for you. It's very simple. Go to ipowerteam.com/freedom. It's on the ticker running underneath. I love that little ticker. You will go on the site. You're going to see their names on a drop down. Drop down, fill out the information. They're ready to work with you now. They will take you to that next level. They will help you get the information that you need. If you need to get through this, but do it now and take action now. I know how some of you say, I'll do it tomorrow, the next day, and then we know what happens. Thank you both for being on. You've been great for myself and Bill and Cheryl, and I'll talk to you both very soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Thanks.
All right. It was, it's amazing. You need to work with people like that. These are the type of people you want to work with because they're really there for you. They're here to create. They don't need this in their lives right now. They're doing this because they're making a difference and being of service. And that's what this is all about. So it's been an amazing day. I want to thank you all for joining us today. And I want to give you just a little gift at the end because I think gifts are really important. And I want to give you, Mr. Bill Walsh created all this, and I want to give everybody a copy of his book. So go right now, text the word obvious to 26786. Text the word obvious, OBVIOUS to 26786. And please, from us and Bill, who created Power Team, get a free copy of Bill's best-selling book. You can have it in your hands right now. You can start reading it. You can do the things that are necessary to do in there. You're going to hook up with the speakers that you met today by going to ipowerteam.com/freedom. You're going to work with them because they're there for you. And we've had an amazing day. From Dr. DeMartini to Mary Glorfield, who was Tony's vice president, Tony Robbins' executive vice president for 18 years, to Steve Leon, who's one of the top producers and still has the longest running show on Hallmark, just renewed for a 9th season. From Aaron Saxton with the great information of really why PR is so important to really getting that message out there. From Angel Tussey, who just taught us everything we needed to know about creating more of everything that we do and why it's important and how to get our message out there. And hopefully I've taught you a little bit about funnels and how to create a funnel and how a funnel looks. And really to create that importance of a funnel in your life from your business aspect. From myself, Mr. Bill Walsh, Austin Walsh, Cheryl Brenner, the Power Team family, want to thank you for being on this amazing summit. We look forward to, we do every Thursday. We have powerful speakers, VIP guests. And I'll tell you right now, we're always looking for amazing speakers and trainers to do these. So if that's something that you want to do, you want to hear more about it, you want to be part of the family, we do 300 events a year. We're virtual at the moment. Just text SBA to 26786. Yes, it's something else to text. I will get back to you ASAP, give you my schedule, and go from there. So my name is Michael Silvers. I look forward to seeing you all on the highway. You can find me at LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. Myself and Power Team loves to partner. We love to joint venture. I want to thank everybody very much for spending the morning, afternoon, or evening with us. We will look forward to seeing you very soon. Goodbye, everyone.